Chapter 152. You don't need to worry about my Zhenqi. As for your Zhenqi, I guess you only have 30 to 40% left. Although your defensive skill is quite powerful, it obviously consumes a lot of Zhenqi. Just now, you forced yourself to use your Zhenqi to chase after me, plus you continuously cast the mountain-shattering stamp. Your Zhenqi has been consumed even more. Yi Chen's voice wasn't loud, but it was as sharp as a sword, easily piercing through Hong Qianjuan's heart. Hong Qianjun became angry out of shame. What about you? You should have run out of Zhenqi long ago. The sword continued cutting the small city, creating bigger and bigger cracks. Yi Chen said blandly, "Unfortunately, I have a pill that can instantly replenish my Zhenqi. I have already swallowed it when I was chasing after you." Half of what he said was true. The pill that could instantly replenish one's Zhenqi was real, but only one pill was fake. In fact, he had a whole gourd full of pills. He didn't know the name of this pill, but he knew that it was very useful. Apart from improving one's Zhenqi, it could also instantly replenish one's Zhenqi, which was many times better than the other pills that could replenish one's Zhenqi. The illusory city formed by his Zhenqi was on the verge of collapsing. Hong Qianjun said word by word, "Very good, you are the first one under the clasping Yuan realm who could force me to this extent. But, do you really think that you can defeat me? Divide the land, seal the border, condense." Hong Qianjun instantly released the remaining Zhenqi from his body. The illusory city suddenly shrunk a little bit, and the cracks on it gradually closed up. It became more and more solid and thick. The defensive power of the city was so strong that even Yi Chen's sword qi couldn't break it. Haha, after reaching the clasping Yuan realm, my Zhenqi recovery speed has been greatly increased. Now, I don't need to attack, I just need to defend. I can recover my Zhenqi bit by bit. By then, you will have consumed half of your Zhenqi, and that will be the time of your death. While saying these words, Hong Qianjun was so angry that he almost lost his mind. He had never thought that a late condensing reality realm warrior would be able to push him to this extent. If he didn't kill Yi Chen, he would never be able to eat or sleep in peace. Yi Chen's expression was cold. "I want to see how long you can defend." Sword Qi Mountain. Although this sword technique could last for a long time, it would eventually run out of energy. If he continued to use his Zhenqi, the effect would be greatly reduced. Yi Chen decided to cut off his Zhenqi and slashed out again. The violent sword qi fiercely cut through the illusory city, creating thousands of sparks. Of the two of them, one focused on defense, while the other focused on offense. The audience was dumbfounded. Before the previous one subsides, another one rises. "I can't even see this battle clearly anymore." Lu Hanshan let out a long breath and said with a bitter smile. Zhu Mai said, being able to force Hong Qianjun to use all of his strength to defend himself, junior brother Yi's fighting strength is really amazing. But Hong Qianjun shouldn't be underestimated either. That defensive skill is unbelievably powerful, it's definitely a mid-rank Earthrealm skill. Indeed, if Hong Qianjun didn't have this defensive skill, he would have been defeated by brother Yi long ago. Xu Jing didn't say anything. She was waiting for Yi Chen to launch a thunderous attack, the kind that would make his opponent have no chance to fight back. In the distance, Ouyang Ming gasped in shock. Yi Chen's power made his hair stand on end. Even Hong Qianjun, who was ranked 69th in the Hidden Dragon ranking and had already stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, was forced to use all of his strength to defend, not daring to fight back. Ouyang Lai, the Thunder Hand, said with a murderous look on his face, "If Yi Chen doesn't die, our Purple Sun Martial School will never have a peaceful day. Wait until both of them are badly injured, then you and I will use all of our strength to kill Yi Chen. Kill him with one strike, then we will leave immediately, in case we get surrounded by Lu Hanshan and the others." Exactly, this guy is too terrifying. If we don't kill him, we will lose our position in the Windy Nation. We have to kill him. Ouyang Ming said viciously. Hong Qianjun had consumed a lot of his Zhenqi. Once again, a small crack appeared on the solid city wall. The crack seemed to be very small, but it couldn't be ignored, because every time the sword qi struck on the crack would expand at a visible speed. In a short while, the city would definitely fall. "Humph, I'll let you be proud for now, When my Zhenqi recovers to 50%, I'll be able to turn the situation around. Hong Qianjun didn't worry about the small crack at all. He did it on purpose. He wanted to confuse Yi Chen and make him think that he wouldn't be able to hold on for long. All of a sudden, Hong Qianjuan's facial expression changed. In his sight, Yi Chen suddenly took back his sword, took a step forward with his left foot, and raised the long sword with his right hand. Yi Chen seemed to have entered a mysterious realm. In the next moment, a stream of extremely sharp qi gathered on the tip of the sword. What does he want to do? Does he still have a special skill? Impossible. A dangerous thought flashed across Hong Qianjuan's mind. He was about to activate the conferred territory art to solidify his defense, but it was already too late. Single sword move. Yi Chen held the hidden cloud sword in his hand and swung it out in an extremely simple and gentle way. This move seemed to be slow, but was actually incredibly fast, because both Yi Chen's arm and the hidden cloud sword seemed to have disappeared. Yi Chen could only see a beam of white light flashing across the air at a speed that was so fast that it couldn't be seen by the naked eye, as if the water didn't exist. In a twinkling of an eye, the beam of white light struck on the crack on the city wall. Crack. The city wall, which was incomparably sturdy, suddenly cracked open from the middle. Puff. A large amount of blood spurted out from Hong Qianjuan's mouth. The protective layer of Zhenqi around Hong Qianjuan's body had already been shattered, and a bone-deep slash appeared on his chest. Inside his body, the sword qi had been violently cutting his meridians and muscles, and even his Zhenqi, which had been circulating in a regular pattern, had been cut into pieces. Without the support of his Zhenqi, the city wall suddenly collapsed, turning into yellow light spots and dissipating in the air. I'm the eldest disciple of the multiple mountain martial school. If you kill me, even if you run to the end of the world, you'll still be dead. Do you want to die? Hong Qianjun glared at Yi Chen with his mouth covered with blood. He didn't believe that Yi Chen would dare to kill him. The multiple mountain martial school was a rank 7 institution in the White Mystery Nation, a mid-level nation. It was an extremely powerful martial artist, and even the leader of the school was an early astral-reaching realm martial artist. If Yi Chen dared to kill him, even if he fled to the Sky Cloud Martial School, it would still be useless. The Multiple Mountain Martial School would definitely pressure the leaders of the Sky Cloud Martial School to hand over Yi Chen. Yi Chen responded blandly, "If you knew that this day would come, why did you do it?" Seeing that Yi Chen didn't attack him, Hong Qianjun was secretly happy. This guy is indeed a coward. But since you have offended me, Hong Qianjun, you should be prepared to be killed in the future. I'll make you beg for death in order to avenge the humiliation you've suffered today. Hong Qianjun said, "A martial artist only has one life. If you let me go now, I'll let bygones be bygones. But if you don't, you know the consequences. Sometimes, you can't take the wrong path. Once you make a wrong step, you'll ruin your future." Puff. Before Hong Qianjun could finish his last word, a stream of sword qi chopped his head off. Blood mixed with water spurted out tens of meters high. "Since you've already offended me, there's no other way out. Therefore, you have to die," Yi Chen said with an indifferent face. "Brother Yi, did you kill Hong Qianjun?" Seeing that Yi Chen had broken Hong Qianjuan's defense, Lu Hanshan and the other two hurriedly rushed over. On the way, Hong Qianjun and Yi Chen didn't know what Hong Qianjun had said to Yi Chen, but both of them seemed to be in a stalemate. When they arrived, they saw Yi Chen chopping Hong Qianjuan's head off with a single sword strike. Yi Chen said, "If I don't kill him today, he will definitely kill me in the future." "You're right." Lu Hanshan helplessly nodded. The true spirit continent was a cruel world. People who were too weak would never be able to stand out. Therefore, they had to be cruel and merciless. If they didn't do anything, they would be fine. Zhu Mai sighed. A hidden dragon-ranked martial artist had died just like that. In the end, he was blinded by his own greed. Yi Chen is dead, he's dead. He killed Hong Qianjun. The multiple mountain martial school will never let him go. Let's go, we have to leave now. In a couple of days, when we get out of the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, we'll tell the elders of the multiple mountain martial school about Hong Qianjuan's death. They will kill Yi Chen. Ouyang Lai's eyebrows twitched. Yi Chen's cruelty and mercilessness made him tremble in fear. Ouyang Ming's face turned pale as he said, Hong Chenjuan's death is a big deal. He was seeking his own death. You can live if you want to, but you can't live if you want to. Let's go, in case he finds us. Both of them activated their Jin Qi and prepared to leave. Do you think you can leave? A voice was heard from behind them. The two turned around to look, and they were shocked to see Yi Chen, who was wrapped in Qi swords, shooting towards them at an alarming speed. Yi Chen, what do you want? We're disciples of the Purple Sun Martial School. If you kill me, you won't be able to. Ouyang Ming's head was sent flying into the air. His eyes were wide open, as if he couldn't believe that he was dead. He didn't want to die, he still had a long way to go. Ouyang Lai pointed his finger at Yi Chen and said, You killed Ouyang Ming, you killed him. From now on, my Purple Sun Martial School will never forgive you. My Ouyang family will chop you into pieces. Just wait for your death. Just wait for the day when your Yi family will be destroyed. So much bullshit. Yi Chen wielded his arm and released a stream of sword qi, cutting Ouyang Lai into two. Those two bastards. Luckily, we didn't let them get away. Otherwise, we'd all be dead. He would definitely tell others about what happened to Hong Chenjun. Lu Hanshan was still scared. He couldn't even imagine what would happen if the multiple mountain martial schools people knew that Hong Chenjun was killed by Yi Chen. Zhu Mai hated Ouyang Lai to the bone since long ago. She didn't even know how many Sky Cloud Martial School's disciples had been killed by him. Good. All of this is because of them. Otherwise, Hong Chenjun wouldn't have come to us for no reason. Now that Hong Chenjun is dead, they still want to put the blame on us. Maybe this is a plan made by the Purple Sun Martial School's leaders long ago. They want all four of us to die in the Heavenly Dream Ancient region. Oh right, Brother Yi, how did you find them? They were nearly 1,000 meters away from us. Clang. Putting the hidden cloud sword back into its sheath, Yi Chen said, I found them long ago, but I didn't do anything. Therefore, I don't think they can open their mouths to talk. Yi Chen's soul power was extremely powerful. He could spread his soul power out for over 1,000 meters. Before the fight against Hong Chenjun started, he had already searched around with his soul power. As expected, the two top-ranked disciples of the Purple Sun Martial School were right in front of him. They probably wanted to watch him die, but unfortunately, in the end, they were the ones who died. Since then, including those disciples who had been killed by the others or the ancient beasts of the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, all the Purple Sun Martial School's disciples had been killed. Xu Jing said, From now on, the Purple Sun Martial School's younger generation will no longer be able to compete with us anymore. No matter what, let's go to the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. It's been a long time. Let's go down. The four of them activated their Jin Qi and moved downwards. Chapter 153. After diving for about 3,000 meters, his protective Jin Qi layer had been compressed to only half an inch away from his skin, which was an extremely dangerous distance. Once his protective Jin Qi layer was shattered, it would be extremely hard for him to get it back up again. After that, he would have to rely on his ability to hold his breath. Fortunately, 3,000 meters was already close to the bottom of the lake. Rumble. Intense vibrations spread out in all directions. Faintly, colorful lights came from the front. Some of these lights were extremely sharp, some were as heavy as a mountain, and some even froze the water into ice. There's a fight going on 1,200 meters ahead, let's go check it out. Yi Chen took back his soul power and said to the other three. At the bottom of the lake was a magnificent palace. No one knew what kind of material the palace was made from. It looked like gold or jade, but it didn't look like gold or jade. The whole palace was shining with a colorful light, giving people a mysterious feeling. Surrounding the palace was a broad square made of white marble. On the square, nearly 400 disciples had been attacking a tens of meters long, scaleless, golden-gray, gigantic serpent. This gigantic serpent was extremely powerful. Even though it was being attacked by nearly 400 people at the same time, it was still extremely fierce and unstoppable. Normal attacks couldn't even break its defense. Only clasping Yuan Realm Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists could cause some damage to it. The ancient black gold serpent is powerful, individual attacks won't be effective. Everybody line up and attack it together. The one who said this was Lu Jiao, the top-ranked disciple of the White Mysterious Nation's Rank 7 institution, the White Deer Cave. He was also a young martial artist ranked 61st in the last Hidden Dragon ranked. Lu Jiao is right, everybody line up. The other Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists knew that if they continued like this, they wouldn't know how long it would take. Therefore, they all used their own power to unite the other disciples. Damn it, they always get all the benefits, they only use us when we are in trouble. Hey, what can we do? We have to lower our heads when we are in trouble. Anyway, we have to kill this black gold serpent sooner or later, otherwise we won't be able to enter the heavenly dream battle palace. Just bear with it. Once you step into the clasping Yuan realm, you can be just as arrogant. Many disciples were not happy about this. Many of their brothers and sisters had been killed by those Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists. At this moment, when they heard that Lu Jiao wanted to control them, they subconsciously refused to accept it. On the other side, a martial disciple suddenly died. The one who killed him wasn't the dark gold python, but the terrifying Yuan Ying. I gave you face, but you don't want it. What's the point of keeping you alive? Smiling cruelly, Yuan Ying raised his head and said to the others, whoever dares to disobey the command, kill without mercy. Too tyrannical, killing people at every turn. 700 or 800 meters away, Zhumai looked angry. Luo Hanshan let out a long breath and said calmly, I think we'd better not go there right now. That Yuan Ying is very aggressive, we might be used as cannon fodder by him once we go there and fight against that ancient dark gold serpent. Although this dark gold serpent is only a level 5 demonic beast, ancient demonic beasts have always been very powerful and have great defensive power. Even mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artists would have to step back when facing it. Brother Yi, Luo Hanshan thought that he would be able to convince the others, but unexpectedly, Yi Chen was the first one to walk out. After taking a few steps, Yi Chen turned around and said, there's no need to hide from him, we can form a battle formation by ourselves. I believe that many of those martial disciples who have grudges against him will join us. Indeed, Brother Yi is not much weaker than Yuan Ying, why do you still hide? Xu Jing also walked out. Luo Hanshan gave a bitter smile. The protective layer of qi kept the water out, only the breathable air could get in. Yi Chen took a deep breath. He decided to go over, not because he was confident that he could fight against Yuan Ying, but because he didn't want to lose the heart of a sword artist. To be a sword artist, one had to be fearless. In a situation where the power gap was not huge, hiding was not the way to solve the problem, on the contrary, it would make one lose the spirit. The four of them moved extremely fast, within a few blinks of an eye, they had already arrived in the middle of the martial disciples. It's you. Yuan Ying narrowed his eyes, seeming to be a bit surprised. He licked his lips and said coldly, you guys, come over here, stand in the front row. Seeing this, the other martial disciples were all shocked. Obviously, Yuan Ying was going to use the 4 Sky Cloud Martial School's disciples as cannon fodder. Compared to him, they themselves were not any better. After all, the dark gold serpent was not something that could be stopped by just a few cannon fodders. When the time came, the second batch of cannon fodders would definitely come. However, even though they knew that they might become cannon fodders, they still had to endure it. They didn't dare to disobey Yuan Ying, who had killed countless people. At least, they still had a chance to survive against the dark gold serpent. Yi Chen didn't even take a glance at Yuan Ying, his voice spread out along with his Zhen Qi. Who wants to join our battle formation and fight against the dark gold serpent together? Once he said this, everyone was shocked. Even those who were fighting against the dark gold serpent couldn't help but glance over. Yuan Ying laughed out of anger, you have challenged my patience over and over again. Very good. Today, even if you don't want to come, you will have to come. Otherwise, I will kill you. Even if you want to kill me, you will have to pay with your life. I'm just afraid that you can't afford it. Yi Chen's voice was as sharp as metal, piercing through the water. The sharp qi released from his body was even sharper than when he was on the lakeside, and contained an unshakable will. The previous fierce fight with Hong Qianjun had made Yi Chen's understanding of the sword intent reach a new level. If it weren't for the fact that he was limited by his cultivation, killing Yuan Hangying would be as easy as killing a dog. Even so, Yi Chen was 30% sure that he could kill Yuan Hangying, so there was no need for him to retreat. Good, since you want to die, I will fulfill your wish. Eagle swooping in the sky. Yuan Hangying was extremely angry. His body shook and rose straight up into the sky. After that, the Zhenqi eagle flew out of his body and swooped down towards Yi Chen. Chop! Once the sword qi was released, the water started to flow in a reverse direction. The strong sword qi made people slightly dazed. Puff! The Zhenqi eagle's chest was cut open by the sword, it let out a long cry, flapped its wings against the sword qi, and let out a loud metal clashing sound. In the next moment, the water was sucked into this space and formed into a 10-meter wide water ball, then it expanded and exploded. Boom! A thunderous sound was heard. What? He blocked Yuan Hangying's attack. Who the hell is this Sky Cloud Martial School's disciple? Even if Yuan Hangying had only used 80% of his power, a late condensing reality realm warrior still couldn't compete with him. It's really incredible. Don't you think that it looks like the sword intent? Yeah, why didn't I think of it? That is definitely the sword intent, no wonder he is not afraid of Yuan Hangying. Everyone was shocked. Yuan Hangying's eyes had turned red like a devil, which meant that he had already decided to kill Yi Chen. As for the fact that Yi Chen had mastered the sword intent, it didn't affect him at all. A dead sword artist, why would he need the sword intent? If he didn't kill Yi Chen today, he would bring himself a powerful enemy. Today, you will die. I wanted to kill you on the lakeside. No one has ever escaped from me, Yuan Hangying. Yuan Hangying pushed his Zhenqi to its limit, an even bigger Zhenqi eagle was formed. It flapped its wings, causing the water to flow in reverse. Enough. All of a sudden, a cold voice came. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice, and their faces changed. It was Xue Hen, the head disciple of the Invisible Martial School, a rank 7 institution in the Sky Serpent Nation. He was ranked 57th in the last Hidden Dragon rank, which was 2 ranks higher than Yuan Hangying. He said blandly, killing that black gold serpent is the most important thing right now. Once we kill him, you can do whatever you want. Yuan Hangying turned his head, his face darkened. Xue Hen, you and I are minding our own business. What right do you have to interfere with my business? I'm just reminding you, don't forget why you came to the Heavenly Dream Ancient region. Fighting over personal feelings will only bring you trouble. Yuan Hangying, Xue Hen is right. Killing that black gold serpent is the most important thing right now. Opening the gate of the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace is the most important thing. Let's put everything else aside for now. Lu Jiao, the head disciple of the White Deer Cave, also said. Yuan Hangying slightly restrained his Zhenqi. He decided to wait for a while longer. Once he reached the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace and made some progress in his cultivation, he would immediately chase after Yi Chen. As for now, he wasn't so sure about killing Yi Chen. He had already seen how powerful Yi Chen's sword intent was during the Hidden Dragon rank. It was not something that ordinary people could imagine. Luo Han's Han was secretly happy. Yuan Hangying didn't seem to be much more powerful than Yi Chen, otherwise, he wouldn't have listened to Luo Hanshan's advice at all. It seemed that Yi Chen's decision was right. When one's power was almost the same as Yi Chen's, one should never step back, otherwise, it would be harmful to one's future growth. Yi Chen didn't know what Luo Hanshan was thinking. He said loudly, "Those who are willing to join our battle formation, come here right now, I can guarantee that you won't be harmed." I'm in. I'm in too. And our 7 Mystery Martial School. Immediately, a large group of disciples came to Yi Chen's area. Most of them were from Yuan Hangying's battle formation. Seeing this, Yuan Hangying was enraged, his eyes shone with a bright red light. Hiss, hiss, hiss. The dark gold serpent was indeed a 5th-grade ancient beast. Even under the joint attack of all kinds of battle formations, it was still incomparably powerful. From time to time, 2 or 3 disciples would be whipped into 2 by its tail, blood splashing everywhere. However, by now, it had already become a cornered beast. Every single hidden dragon-ranked martial artist was powerful enough to challenge those who were at a higher cultivation level than him. Although the dark gold serpent was powerful, how could it possibly withstand the joint attack of so many people? As time went by, it was forced to retreat step by step, unable to stop any effective attacks. Kill. Kill. Waves of fierce air power landed on the dark gold serpent's body, causing blood to spurt out. As for those hidden dragon-ranked martial artists, they would always attack the vital parts of the dark gold serpent. Their attacks were more than 10 times more powerful than those ordinary disciples. Obviously, they were the main attacking force. After around half an hour, the dark gold serpent let out a wail, its gigantic body heavily thudded against the ground and stopped breathing. Creak. Once the dark gold serpent died, the heavenly dream battle palace seemed to have sensed it. The huge iron gate opened automatically and a pure white light shone on everyone. Buzz. The Zhen-Qi inside his body vibrated. Yi Chen found that under the white light, he had already reached the peak of the late condensing reality realm. It was as if he had reached the peak of the late condensing reality realm without any hindrance. Yi Chen couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, then thought to himself, maybe it's because of the fight against Hong Qianjun, my Zhen-Qi cultivation has been strengthened, and I only need to cultivate for a few days to reach the peak of the late condensing reality realm. Chapter 154. Although the gap between the late condensing reality realm and the peak of the late condensing reality realm was not that big, but for Yi Chen, it was extremely valuable. Before, he was 30% sure that he could kill Yuan Hangying, but now, he was 40% sure. If he could step into the clasping Yuan realm, killing Yuan Hangying would be as easy as chopping melons and vegetables. The other disciples all felt that their cultivation had improved, but none of them managed to make a breakthrough like Yi Chen. The gate of the heavenly dream battle palace is open, let's go, let's go. As soon as this white light shone on me, I felt so much better. I can definitely break into the clasping Yuan realm if I get in there. Except for the hidden dragon-ranked martial artists, most of the other disciples had gone crazy. Why did they risk their lives to enter the heavenly dream ancient region? Of course, it was to break into the clasping Yuan realm. As long as they could become clasping Yuan realm martial artists, they would be as powerful as those hidden dragon-ranked martial artists. They wouldn't need to be scared anymore, and they wouldn't need to lower their heads. Piss off. The hidden dragon-ranked martial artists were the fastest. Their bodies flashed across the air and darted into the palace gate. Among them, Yuan Hangying had killed a disciple who had been blocking his way in a cruel and brutal way. Looking at those crazy disciples, Luo Hanshan said, "Let's go in as well." Yi Chen activated his Zhen-Qi for a few times, found nothing wrong. He nodded and said, "This heavenly dream battle palace is indeed very helpful for breaking into the clasping Yuan realm." "Chem, I think so too." The four of them followed closely behind the others and entered the palace, which was filled with a dense white light. Woo! Taking a deep breath, Zhu Mai said in surprise, "What a dense and pure Yuan Qi. It's so much better than the Yuan Qi from spirit stones. I can absorb it with almost no effort." In fact, even without Zhu Mai's reminder, the three of them had already sensed the change of the Yuan Qi once they entered the palace. However, the white light in the palace seemed to be way too strong. Once they entered, they were completely blinded. They couldn't see or sense anything. Even Yi Chen's soul power had lost its effect. It seemed that only the most basic sense of touch and hearing still existed. After about a quarter of an hour, the palace door behind him suddenly closed with a heavy sound. Then, as if there was a small earthquake in the palace, the rumbling sound was continuous, rising and falling. Suddenly, the floor under Yi Chen's feet sank, and there seemed to be something above sealing this space. "Be careful, the internal structure of the palace has changed," Yi Chen quickly warned. But no one answered. Letting out a bitter smile, Yi Chen realized that they had been separated from each other. Well, the heavenly dream battle palace wouldn't kill people on their own, so there shouldn't be any danger. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, Yi Chen was about to meditate and cultivate. Visible to the naked eye, the incomparably dense white light shrank into a ball and entered a huge crystal ball. The crystal ball was colorful and suspended in the air. Yi Chen quietly observed the situation. Buzz. The air slightly vibrated, and gradually, a human-shaped white silhouette appeared under the crystal ball. The silhouette was holding a great sword, with a straight back. If one looked closely, one would find that this silhouette was exactly the same as Yi Chen's, even the great sword was exactly the same. It was like a clone of Yi Chen. Of course, a silhouette was only a silhouette after all, it was pure white, without any facial features. At first glance, one could easily tell that it was created by some kind of energy, and not a real person. Swoosh! Once the white silhouette was formed, it took a step forward and launched a sword attack towards Yi Chen. Peak of the late condensing reality realm, Yi Chen sensed that the zhen-qi vibration of the silhouette was exactly the same as his own. The speed and power of the silhouette's attack were both amazing, almost as powerful as Luo Hanshan's. In other words, the silhouette was at the level of the Windy Nation's child-to-be. Yi Chen wasn't a passive person, and if he guessed it right, this was the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace's test. Only by defeating the silhouette could one be qualified to stay. Clang! The hidden cloud sword was pulled out of the scabbard. Yi Chen brushed past the silhouette. In the next moment, the silhouette's right arm, which was holding the sword, was sent flying into the air. Wisps of white light emerged from the wound. The silhouette, which had lost an arm, still tried to attack Yi Chen, but its head was chopped off by Yi Chen. The silhouette then transformed back into a stream of white light and flew back into the crystal ball. At the same time, in the enclosed space, which was less than 300 meters away, the same thing was happening. What the hell, it's as powerful as me, and it even has martial skills. It's only slightly weaker than me, but it seems to be quite hard to defeat it. Why is it different from the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace's test 10 years ago? It's always the same. Some people were fighting intensely against the silhouette, and it was hard to tell who would win. Although some of them could suppress the silhouette, they couldn't defeat it within a short period of time, and some of them were surprised and didn't know how to react. All in all, everyone was taking the test, and the difficulty of the test depended on each individual's strength. The first round of the test had ended. 5 of their disciples were hit by the silhouette, and were sent out of the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. In the scorching ancient desert. Beside the gigantic door of light, 5 silhouettes darted out of the door and landed on the thick sand. Yao Kai, Li Jing. These 5 people just happened to be the disciples of the sects that had failed the test. They crawled up from the sand with stunned expressions, and then they seemed to have thought of something. They had a dejected look on their faces, and they didn't even hear the shouts of their respective sects' elders. You've failed, no one will blame you. Go back and work hard, don't ever give up, otherwise, you won't be able to make any progress in the future. How many of our disciples are left? What? You're the only one left. Some of the elders encouraged them, some asked about the situation inside, and some of them heard the bad news. They beat their chests and stamped their feet, crying. The people inside the palace didn't know what was happening outside, and even if they knew, they wouldn't be able to be distracted. As the first round of the test ended, the second round began. Child-level power from the Windy Nation. Yi Chen's face turned serious. The silhouette in front of him wasn't that powerful, but it was already so powerful in the second round. The third and fourth rounds, and the later rounds, would undoubtedly be even more difficult. If one wanted to pass the second round, he would not only have to rely on his own power, but also his fighting skills. The silhouette dashed over, and Yi Chen swung his sword. Puff! The silhouette's head flew out, transformed into a beam of white light, and merged into the crystal ball. The second round of the test ended, and the number of disciples who had failed doubled. In the first round, there were only 5, and in this round, there were 35. As the number of people who had failed increased, outside the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, all the institutions in the scorching ancient desert had learned about the situation inside the palace, and were all stunned. It wasn't that they didn't know that the Heavenly Dream Ancient region was a place that would devour people, but out of the 660 people who had entered the palace, only less than 300 managed to make it out alive. The others were either killed by the ancient demonic beasts inside, or killed by the disciples of other institutions, or killed by the ancient black gold boa. The death rate had reached a record high, over 55%. Fortunately, 1 out of 10 of the people who survived had a chance to step into the clasping Yuan realm. Otherwise, we wouldn't even be able to enter the heavenly dream ancient region. Too many people died. Fortunately, not all of our disciples died. The third round of the test began. This time, the silhouette was as powerful as the top 100 of the last hidden dragon ranking, which was almost the same as Qiu Heng, who was in the swamp, and had the power to kill warriors at the same level as him within seconds. After easily killing this silhouette, Yi Chen sensed something different. Every time his attack landed on the silhouette's body, a magical vibration would be transmitted to his own body, and as the vibration became more and more obvious, Yi Chen realized that there was a stream of extremely pure yuan qi contained within the vibration, which would help him improve his cultivation. In other words, every time he fought, he was actually making progress. The longer he could last, the more progress he would make, and in the end, he might even be able to step into the clasping yuan realm. After figuring this out, Yi Chen let out a long breath and thought, I finally understand, the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace is not only a test, but also an opportunity. It depends on whether I can grasp it or not. The third round of the test was not difficult for Yi Chen, but it was extremely difficult for the others. In the seventh sealed space on the east side, Lu Han's Han was gasping heavily. The silhouette in front of him was slightly more powerful than him. It was almost impossible for him to defeat it with his own power. What should I do? Am I going to be eliminated like this? No, since it's a test, there must be a way to pass. Boom. Without giving Lu Han's hand too much time to think, the silhouette launched a heavy punch. The tremendous power contained in that punch was as great as a mountain, as great as a river, surging violently. East rising purple chi, great monument suppression. Lu Han's hand tried his best to push the extreme purple art and the great monument heavenly king fist to their limits, combining them into a special defensive skill to protect himself. Crack. The purple monument couldn't even hold for 3 blinks of an eye, and suddenly shattered. Lu Han's hand rolled away in embarrassment, dodging the terrifying punch launched by the silhouette. At the same time, his chi and blood were boiling inside his body, and his eyes were seeing stars. Oh right, if I can reach the peak of the 9th level of the extreme purple art, I might be able to defeat him. Lu Hanshan's eyes shone. The 9th level of the extreme purple art was called East Rising Purple Chi. The peak of the 9th level of the extreme purple art could draw a purple lotus out of the air, and with the protection of the lotus, the defensive power of the cultivator would be raised by many times. The silhouette launched another attack, but Lu Han's hand didn't back off. Instead, he pushed the extreme purple art to its limit and launched 2 punches in a row. In the other sealed space, Xu Jing had released her unprecedented power, and was fighting against the silhouette. Every single punch landed on the silhouette's body, and the fierce gale generated by the punches shook the air like water. The golden light emitted by the 2 silhouettes was sometimes dim, sometimes brighter, and sometimes dimmer. If Lu Han's Han and Zhu Mai were here, they would definitely be shocked, because Xu Jing's opponent was even more powerful than young Master North Snow and young Master Duanmu. According to their previous understanding of Xu Jing, she had never reached this level, which meant that Xu Jing had been hiding her real power all this time. Clang! The silhouette and Xu Jing's fists clashed against each other, and let out a terrifying metal clanging noise. Dazzling fire sparks splashed everywhere, and the air was extremely hot. Break! While locking the silhouette's right arm with her left hand, Xu Jing's body suddenly shook, and a solid golden light burst out from her body, striking on the silhouette's body and disabling it from moving. After that, Xu Jing took the opportunity and threw out a punch, hitting the silhouette's head. With a popping sound, the silhouette transformed into a beam of white light and merged into the crystal ball. Chapter 155. Many people hadn't finished their 3rd round yet, but Yi Chen's 4th round had already begun. The white silhouette was at the early clasping Yuan realm. His strong Zhenqi vibration could be sensed from a long distance away, and the air started to ripple like water. Come on. Yi Chen had killed Hong Qianjun and fought against Yuan Hengying, so he was not afraid of this silhouette at all. He held the hidden cloud sword in his right hand and prepared to launch his sword intent. Swish! The white light figure suddenly disappeared, and when it reappeared, it was already in the sky above Yi Chen. It slashed down from the sky, and the majestic sword pressure was like a mountain, like a long river, piercing through the void, heading straight for Yi Chen. The attack was unexpectedly fierce. Yi Chen was slightly surprised. He raised his sword to block the attack. Crack! The floor under Yi Chen's feet was dented, and dark cracks spread out like a spider web. Dominate the world. With his tongue against his teeth, Yi Chen let out a shout, clenched his left hand into a fist, and threw out a punch. The silhouette didn't even think about it, and threw out a punch. Boom! Yi Chen's feet sank half a foot into the ground, while the silhouette was blown away by the power of Yi Chen's punch, and a slight crack appeared on its left arm. Just as I thought, this silhouette's defense is not as good as mine. Jumping out of the pit, Yi Chen released a thick stream of sword qi, chasing after the silhouette, intending to kill it with a single sword strike. The silhouette was at the early clasping Yuan realm. It twisted its body in the air, narrowly dodged the sword qi, and then launched a thick stream of white sword qi towards Yi Chen in a weird posture. The air was torn apart like a piece of cloth, and the white sword qi seemed to be even more powerful than Yi Chen. Swirling clouds. From the late condensing reality realm to the peak of the late condensing reality realm, Yi Chen's Zhen Qi had been greatly improved. Now, it was much easier for him to perform the shocking cloud sword art, and he didn't feel any sluggishness like he did when he was fighting against Hong Qianjun. The sword qi that contained sword intent rose straight up, twisting the air and forming a huge tornado. It smashed the white sword qi with a single strike, and then swept towards the white figure with a rumbling sound. Sharp sword qi kept shooting out from it, sparkling and resplendent. Catcher, catcher, catcher. There was a mysterious power in the sealed space that was repairing the marks left by the previous battle. However, its speed of repair was not as fast as Yi Chen's destruction. Hundreds of sword marks instantly appeared on the ground and the walls. Each sword mark revealed a sharp aura. The white silhouette waved his sword wildly, forming a sword screen in front of him, blocking the tornado and the sword qi. His body was pushed back step by step. Bang! With his back against the wall, the white figure had nowhere to retreat. The white light on his body flashed rapidly as he slashed out with his sword. Roar! As soon as the white sword qi appeared, dragon's roars sounded out, and the astonishing sword qi suppressed the air, bringing with it an indestructible concept that slashed apart the rampaging tornado. Still not dead. Mountain condensed sword qi. No one knew when Yi Chen had appeared above the remnants of the tornado. His clothes fluttered in the wind as he slashed down with his sword. Clang, 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 sparks flew everywhere, and the white figure raised his sword to block the sword qi, but he was suppressed to the point where he couldn't move. Moments later, the sword qi broke the opponent's treasured sword, and the white figure turned into white light. Buzz! As soon as Yi Chen's feet landed on the ground, a magical vibration power acted on his body. Under this vibration power, Yi Chen only felt that his bones and muscles were itching, and his Zhen Qi was circulating faster than before. In addition, because of the boiling of his qi and blood, Yi Chen's face had also turned red. What a magical vibration power! It can actually improve my body and speed up the Zhen Qi circulation. In the previous 3 rounds of tests, Yi Chen already knew that the vibration power could shake out the impurities in the body, which could increase the speed of training and refining Zhen Qi, but it could not directly increase one's cultivation. However, compared with the current vibration power, it was obvious which one was better. When the vibration power disappeared, Yi Chen looked inside his body, and found that the Zhen Qi swirl in his dantian was gradually moving closer to the center, and gradually became round. Now, I have almost stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, I only need to wait for the right time. The shape of the Zhen Qi inside one's dantian would change according to one's cultivation level. In the mortal Qi realm, the Zhen Qi would be in the shape of a cyclone, but in the condensing reality realm, the Zhen Qi would be transformed into Zhen Qi, and the quantity and quality of the Zhen Qi would be greatly increased, which would transform into a Zhen Qi swirl. In the clasping Yuan realm, the Zhen Qi swirl would gather together and form a perfect sphere. Puff! With a single punch, Yi Chen's power had improved once again. Now, even if he had to fight against Yuan Hangying, he had 50% confidence that he could defeat him, or even kill him. At this moment, most of the people had just finished the 3rd round. The number of people who had been eliminated kept rising, 5 people were eliminated in the first round, 15 in the second round, and over 240 people were eliminated in the third round. All of them had been sent out of the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace and returned to the scorching ancient desert. Hans Han. The Sky Cloud Martial School's head elder glanced around and found Luo Hanshan in the crowd. Luo Hanshan gave a bitter smile and said, "Sorry, I failed to step into the clasping Yuan realm." Patting on Luo Hanshan's shoulder, the head elder grinned and said, "Don't worry, with your talent, it won't take you too long to step into the clasping Yuan realm. You don't have to rush." Luo Hanshan nodded and said, "It's not that I haven't made any progress. The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace is filled with rich Yuan Qi, and during the test, the vibrating power also affected my body. The Zhen Qi swirl inside my body has already gone through the third round of the test, and it seems to be shrinking. If I go back and cultivate for a while, I might be able to make a breakthrough." "That's great. Oh right, where are the others? Are they in danger?" The head elder looked nervous. Every single one of Yi Chen and the other 3 were the future pillars of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Losing any one of them would be a great loss, especially Yi Chen. Geniuses who had mastered the half-step sword intent were not as common as cabbages, they were extremely rare. If they lost Yi Chen this time, no one knew how many years they would have to wait for the next time. Luo Hanshan glanced at the direction of the Purple Sun Martial School, then sent his Zhen Qi to the head elder and said, "Head elder, Brother Yi has mastered the true sword intent, and he has also killed the Thunder Hand Ouyang Lai and the little godly kick Ouyang Ming. These 2 had been trying to kill us, but in the end, they were killed by Brother Yi. It's true." The head elder's voice was a bit high-pitched. Fortunately, he had used his Zhen Qi to send the message, otherwise, he would have made a fool of himself. Luo Hanshan smiled and said, "How could I say something without thinking? It's absolutely true. Great, Yi Chen has actually mastered the sword intent. He is indeed a peerless genius of our Sky Cloud Martial School. It seems like even the gods want our Sky Cloud Martial School to prosper." The head elder grinned from ear to ear. If Yi Chen, who had mastered the half-step sword intent, was like an unpolished jade, then Yi Chen, who had mastered the sword intent, was like a peerless jade, which didn't need to be polished anymore. Luo Hanshan continued, "Zhu Mai and sister Xu Jing are both doing well, they haven't come out yet. Perhaps, they are currently in the 4th round of the test, and have a great chance to break into the clasping Yuan realm." Luo Hanshan didn't use his Zhen Qi to send this message, but the 4th elder and the other inner elders all heard it. The 4th elder laughed out loud and said, "Compared to our generation, you are so much more outstanding. In just a few years, we will have to give up our positions." "Hihi, it's better for us to give up our positions. Nowadays, the world belongs to young people." "You're right." Back then, when we were fighting against the 9 evil cult, our Sky Cloud Martial School suffered a great loss. Our generation hasn't even grown up yet, but we have already become inner elders. You are much more outstanding than us, you can still take up this position. Compared to the other institutions, the Sky Cloud Martial School's side was filled with laughter. In the Purple Sun Martial School's direction, the head elder of the Purple Sun Martial School had a gloomy look on his face. He said to an inner elder who was standing next to him, "I wonder how Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming are doing. As for the others, they are most likely dead. Chem, Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming are very powerful, it's not very likely that they are dead. The others are not as powerful, so they are more likely to be dead." The head elder looked at Luo Hanshan, a killing intent flashed across his eyes. "It seems that they haven't finished the task I gave them." Luo Hanshan came out alive. "Don't worry about Luo Hanshan, he hasn't reached the clasping Yuan realm yet. If you want to worry, you should worry about that kid named Yi Chen. Once he reaches the clasping Yuan realm, he will be as powerful as a mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist. He will be a great threat to our Purple Sun Martial School in the future. We can't let him live. No matter what, we have to wait for Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming to come out first." Ah! All of a sudden, a raging growl came from the Multiple Mountain Martial School. The growl was mixed with Zhen Qi, it even raised the sand within a radius of tens of zhong into the air. "What did you say?" The Multiple Mountain Martial School's head elder glared at the Multiple Mountain Martial School's disciple who had just walked out. The The disciple was frightened by the head elder's fierce aura. He hurriedly lowered his head and said, "Head elder, I didn't see our eldest brother Hong Qianjun in the heavenly dream battle palace, but I think he should be fine. He is an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist, and all the other hidden dragon-ranked martial artists were there. Except for them, who else could kill our eldest brother?" The multiple mountain martial school's head elder yelled out, "Then where did he go?" "The heavenly dream battle palace will close in a quarter of an hour." "This? I don't know either." If something bad happens to Hong Qianjun, our multiple mountain martial school will definitely investigate this thoroughly, find out who is behind this. If I find out, I will kill his whole family. Luo Hanshan's pupils shrunk, he hurriedly took back his sight. Hong Qianjun was killed by Yi Chen. He and Zhu Mai and Xu Jing had witnessed it with their own eyes. At this moment, he couldn't afford to leave even the slightest trace, otherwise, if the multiple mountain martial school's people noticed it, it would bring an endless disaster to the Sky Cloud Martial School. The head elder sensed that Luo Hanshan's facial expression had changed. He hurriedly sent his Zhenqi to Luo Hanshan. "Hanshan, what's wrong? What's wrong? Tell me honestly, I'm your uncle, don't you trust me?" Hesitating for a while, Luo Hanshan decided to tell the truth. In the Sky Cloud Martial School, he trusted his father Luo Xinglia and the head elder the most. Both of them were his closest relatives. "Head elder, Hong Qianjun is already dead, and the one who killed him is Yi Chen. But this whole thing was started by Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming from the Purple Sun Martial School. If we didn't kill Hong Qianjun back then, Hong Qianjun would definitely kill us. Ouyang Lai, Ouyang Ming instigated Hong Qianjun to kill you. He must have promised him some benefits, right? I thought it was something serious. He killed Hong Qianjun. If you didn't kill him, he would kill you. This is simple, but except for your father and me, don't tell anyone else about this. Although our Sky Cloud Martial School is not a coward, we still don't want to start a war with the multiple mountain martial school." "I know." Chapter 156. The first, second, and third rounds had eliminated over 260 people in total. There were still around 30 people left. Among these 30 people, 8 of them were already early clasping Yuan realm warriors. It would be very hard for them to make a breakthrough, but they could still reach the peak level early clasping Yuan realm. The remaining 20 or so people might not be able to reach the clasping Yuan realm for sure. After all, everyone had different situations. For example, among the people who had been eliminated in the first 3 rounds, 6 of them had made it to the clasping Yuan realm, and did not even have the chance to take the 4th round. The 9th sealed room in the north. The blade light danced like snowflakes, fluttering in the air like a dream. Amidst the blade light, 2 pure white silhouettes clashed with each other from time to time, creating thousands of sparks. Although these 2 silhouettes were both white, one of them was slightly transparent, which was obviously a structure of energy. The other person's white clothes fluttered in the wind, and his temperament was out of this world. One didn't need to look at him with their eyes to feel the gentleness of the spring breeze. After pushing back his opponent with a single blade attack, the white-robed young man finally relaxed his eyebrows. He had finally reached the clasping Yuan realm after being stuck at the peak of the late condensing reality realm for 2 years. Raising his head, the young man revealed a handsome and gentle face. If someone was here, they would definitely recognize him as the head disciple of the North Snow Martial Academy, young Master North Snow. The 3rd sealed room in the north. The head disciple of the South Rudra Martial School, Lotus Fairy Qin Yulian, had been promoted. The 18th sealed room in the south. Zhu Mai was eliminated. The 14th sealed room in the south. Zhenqi vibration, which only belonged to early clasping Yuan realm martial artists, burst out from Xu Jing's body. With a single punch, she shattered the head of the white silhouette. Letting out a heavy breath, Xu Jing slightly closed her eyes and murmured to herself, "Finally, I can practice that body strengthening technique. I wonder if it is as powerful as the ancient scroll said." Once Xu Jing made the breakthrough, a total of 3 clasping Yuan realm martial institutions in the Windy Nation had reached the level of clasping Yuan realm. They were the head disciple of the North Snow Martial Academy, Qin Yulian from the Rudra Martial School, and the core disciple of the Sky Cloud Martial School, Xu Jing. As for young Master Duanmu, Blade Yu Yu, Rain Hero Nangong Yun, Yuan Shuamei, Liu Wuxiang, and Ji Shuayan, they had all been eliminated in the first 3 rounds, just like Luo Han's Han. Right now, only Lynch and Yi Chen hadn't made any moves among the disciples of the Windy Nation. Scorching ancient desert. Outside the Door of Light. Young Master North Snow, Qin Yulian, and Shu Jing were teleported out one after another. Junior sister Shu Jing, you've broken through. Both Lu Han's Han and Zhu Mai hadn't made any breakthroughs, although they were a bit disappointed, they soon stopped worrying about it. As a martial artist, the most important thing was to be persistent. A temporary loss wasn't a big deal, but a lifetime's worth of gains and losses was the most important. Perhaps, even if they didn't make any breakthroughs today, they would still be able to make great progress in the future. Of course, this trip to the Heavenly Dream Ancient region was full of dangers, and the 4 of them had gone through all kinds of hardships to get into the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. If none of them had made any breakthroughs, that would be too unreasonable. Seeing Shu Jing right now, the powerful sense of power released from her body told them the answer. Shu Jing nodded and said, "The 6th round is not something that an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist can pass. I lost within 10 attacks." In the 4th round, she had already reached the early clasping Yuan realm. In the 5th round, the white silhouette had made some adjustments according to her cultivation, but she was still able to handle it. She had to exchange over 100 attacks before she could pass. However, in the 6th round, the white silhouette's power had reached the peak-level mid-clasping Yuan realm. Each of its attacks had the power to shake mountains. Haha, it's great that you have reached the early clasping Yuan realm. As for whether you can pass the 6th round or not, it doesn't matter. The head elder hadn't been this happy for a long time. First, Yi Chen had attained the sword intent and killed the 2 top-ranked disciples of the Purple Sun Martial School. Then, Shu Jing had stepped into the clasping Yuan realm and become a powerful young martial artist who was as powerful as young Master Emerald. All of these were great news for the Sky Cloud Martial School. Therefore, the Sky Cloud Martial School needed to hold a big banquet and invite all the powerful martial artists from all over the Windy Nation. The elders of the North Snow Martial Academy and the South Rudra Martial School were also very happy. Finally, one of their disciples had reached the clasping Yuan realm. Especially for the North Snow Martial Academy, apart from young Master North Snow, they also had the North Snow Fast Blade Lynch, who had yet to come out. Therefore, there was a 90% chance that he would become a clasping Yuan realm martial artist. You've all come out. Only Lynch and Yi Chen are still in there. I wonder how they are doing now. Luo Han's Han said. Shu Jing said, I think Yi Chen will definitely succeed. Indeed, there's a great chance. The head elder and the 4th elder both nodded. In the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. In the 21st sealed room in the north. No one had ever imagined that Lynch would be able to last until now. It seemed that everyone had underestimated his power. Because in the 4th round, the white silhouette had already reached the early clasping Yuan realm, and in the 5th round, it was even more powerful. It was only 1 step away from the mid-clasping Yuan realm. Of course, this was only for ordinary martial artists. If the white silhouette had been replaced by Hong Qianjun, Lynch would have been defeated long ago. After all, Hong Qianjun was able to fight against ordinary mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artists. The battle had already started long ago. The only reason why Lynch was able to stay undefeated was because of his amazing willpower. Right now, the blade aura released from his body was getting stronger and stronger. It seemed like it was going to transform. Die. Each blade was faster than the previous one. The only thought in Lynch's mind right now was to be faster, 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 faster than his original limit, and reach a higher level. Crack. The white silhouette, who had been steadily suppressing Lynch, suddenly stopped moving. Its right arm, which was holding the great blade, was sent flying into the air. In the next moment, its body was cut into dozens of pieces and turned into white light. Buzz. The Zhenqi swirl in Lynch's dantian vibrated at an extremely high speed, and eventually shrank into a spherical shape, while the Zhenqi swirled inwards. I made a breakthrough. I didn't expect to comprehend the blade intent first, and then make a breakthrough in cultivation. If he hadn't comprehended the blade intent just now, No matter how fast his blade was, he would have failed. However, he succeeded, and became an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist. Moreover, he had also comprehended the blade intent, which was the dream of all saber artists. After the leader of the village, Shui Wuren, he was the second person in the Windy Nation who had comprehended the blade intent. The 6th round of the test. Lynch gasped. Because he had made a breakthrough in cultivation, the white silhouette had adjusted its power according to his own. It had reached the peak of the mid-clasping Yuan realm, which was even more terrifying than Xu Jing, Qin Yulian and young Master North Snow's 6th round of the test. The higher one's cultivation was, the more difficult it would be to challenge someone with a higher cultivation. Lynch had just stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, which meant that he was at the bottom of the clasping Yuan realm, while the white silhouette was at the peak of the mid-clasping Yuan realm. The gap between them was not just 1 level, but 1.5 levels. Even if Lynch had comprehended the blade intent, he would not be able to defeat it. In the entire South Shui region, there were less than 5 young martial artists who could challenge someone with a higher cultivation than them. For example, the top 3 young martial artists in the Hidden Dragon rank, although they were only at the mid-clasping Yuan realm, they were as powerful as the leaders of the top 5 martial artists in the Windy Nation. However, in terms of talent, they were much more powerful than Lynch. As for Lynch's blade intent, it was not strange at all. Many of the top 30 young martial artists in the Hidden Dragon rank had comprehended the blade intent and the sword intent, not to mention the top 3 young martial artists in the South Shui region. The white silhouette had only launched 1 attack, but Lynch had been forced back for 10 steps. For the second attack, Lynch had barely dodged. For the third attack, blood gushed out from the corner of Lynch's mouth. For the 6th attack, Lynch was defeated, and was sent out of the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. Since then, Yi Chen was the only one among the young martial artists in the Windy Nation. Lynch is out. On the scorching ancient desert, all the elders of the top 5 martial institutions of the Windy Nation looked over, staring at Lynch, who had just been sent out of the Light Gate. Lynch walked to the North Snow Martial Academy with a bland look. The other 4 martial institutions had all gained something, so their facial expressions were still normal. Only the group of people from the Purple Sun Martial Academy looked gloomy. Their eyes were filled with blood streaks, as if they wanted to kill someone. Head Elder, Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming might be able to hold on till now, it's hard to say. An inner elder of the Purple Sun Martial Academy couldn't stand the atmosphere anymore, and said something that even he himself didn't believe. The head elder of the Purple Sun Martial Academy snorted coldly. He didn't want to talk anymore. Although his subconscious didn't want to admit that Ouyang Lai and Ouyang Ming were already dead, his mind told him that it was hopeless. When we go back this time, secretly arrange some people to kill the top disciples of the Sky Cloud Martial School. I want their happy event to turn into a funeral. Of course, we can't let the Sky Cloud Martial School grow any further. In the 5th sealed space in the west of the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace, Yuan Hengying smashed the head of the white silhouette with a palm attack, then laughed out loud. His face was filled with pride, arrogance. The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace can't possibly let me break into the mid-clasping Yuan realm from the early clasping Yuan realm all of a sudden, but reaching the peak of the early clasping Yuan realm has also largely improved my fighting power. Disciples of the Sky Cloud Martial School, wait for me to kill you. Now, I can crush you to death with only 1 hand, especially that little bastard who has mastered the sword intent. I want you to die miserably. Yuan Hengying seemed to have imagined himself killing Yi Chen. He laughed out loud again. Zhen Qi surged out from his body, and that great and fierce Zhen Qi made him look like a devil. In the 16th sealed room in the east, Zhuang Fei slapped on the back of the white silhouette. The extremely condensed power of his palm instantly shattered the silhouette, without even a little bit of power leaking out. The Windy Nation will be mine in the future. After killing the white silhouette, Zhuang Fei released an aura that was not any weaker than Yuan Hengying's. Apparently, he had reached the peak of the early clasping Yuan realm. No one had ever thought that he would be able to reach the next level. After all, he was only ranked 68th in the last Hidden Dragon ranking, and was one of the weakest ones among the 9 nations. Yi Chen didn't know about the other people's changes, and he didn't have the time to think about it. This time, the white silhouette was quite powerful among the mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artists, which was only slightly weaker than the peak of the mid-clasping Yuan realm. However, this was already his limit. He was only able to fight until now because of his increasingly powerful sword intent. When Yi Chen had just entered the Heavenly Dream Ancient region, his sword intent was still in a relatively young stage. After the fight against Hong Qianjun, his sword intent had started to grow, and was still in the early stage. Now, after 5 rounds of tests, his sword intent had grown again, and was only one step away from reaching the entry level. The entry-level sword intent was terrifying. It was much more powerful than the sword intent at the early stage. In comparison, the current Yi Chen would only need a few moves to defeat himself, who had just entered the Heavenly Dream Ancient region. 1,000 moves. After a whole 1,000 moves, Yi Chen chopped off the white silhouette's head with one sword strike. At that moment, he only felt dizzy and dizzy. But of course, no matter how tired he was, it was all worth it. The Zhenqi swirl in his dantian had finally become a perfect Zhenqi swirl. At this moment, Yi Chen had officially reached the clasping Yuan realm. Chapter 157. 100 Sword Attack. Intending to test the power of an early clasping Yuan realm martial art, Yi Chen's body shook, and he activated the pure Zhenjin Qi, a top-rank mortal realm martial art. Shua 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 shua. Countless condensed qi swords floated around Yi Chen's body. There were exactly 100 of them, and all of them flew in the same direction. That shocking sword aura was extremely horrifying, as if it could pierce through the surreal space and kill people with its aura. Go! As Yi Chen waved his hand, those qi swords turned into beams of white light, shooting at the wall in front of him as fast as lightning. The iron-like wall slightly shook, and powder began to fall down. The whole wall had been shattered by those qi swords. 100 qi swords, each one of them could kill a peak-level late condensing reality realm martial artist. Even a peak-level early clasping Yuan realm martial artist would be turned into a beehive. If the pure Zhenjin Qi was a low-rank earth realm martial art, its power would be doubled. While estimating the power of those qi swords, Yi Chen was secretly shocked. Without using any other skills, he could easily kill a peak-level early clasping Yuan realm martial artist with only the pure Zhenjin Qi, which was indeed beyond his expectation. Of course, he also knew that the power of those qi swords was based on normal martial artists, and those genius martial artists would not be killed so easily. He still had to use his sword intent and the sky cloud sword art. Slowly letting out a breath, Yi Chen murmured to himself, "With my current power, I should be able to beat a peak-level mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist, but I wonder how I would fare against a late-clasping Yuan realm martial artist." The higher the level of a martial artist, the bigger the gap would be. Before reaching the clasping Yuan realm, one might be able to beat a martial artist who was 2 ranks higher than him, but after reaching the clasping Yuan realm, the possibility of beating a martial artist who was 2 ranks higher than him was very low. Even though Yi Chen's sword intent was almost at the entry level, and his soul power was unparalleled, he would still be limited. However, it was just a guess. He might be able to beat a martial artist who was 2 ranks higher than him. The 6th test. Whoosh. A white silhouette appeared under the colorful crystal ball. The white silhouette only stood there, but its Zhenqi was already like a tsunami. The air around it was suddenly compressed into a beautiful arc late clasping Yuan realm. Yi Chen's face looked extremely serious. The pressure that the white light shadow gave him was the same as that of the 4th elder of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Just the aura alone could create a terrifying pressure that made people unable to resist. Kai. The white silhouette swung its sword. Before the sword qi arrived, the wall behind Yi Chen caved in and some powder fell down. To be able to create such terrifying lethality with just sword pressure, it's indeed troublesome. Yi Chen hurriedly held his sword horizontally to block the incoming attack. He couldn't help but think of the middle-aged man in black from the Ghost Corpse Mountain, who had tried to kill them before. That man had thrown out a palm attack, and the horrifying palm pressure had turned dozens of men in black into piles of blood. It was exactly the same as this sword pressure. Both were powers that only late-clasping Yuan realm martial artists could have. Clang. The white sword qi slashed onto the hidden cloud sword. Yi Chen seemed to hear the mournful cry of the hidden cloud sword. It was a sign that the sword was about to be destroyed. The sword chi unleashed by the opponent was unimaginably powerful. If it wasn't a low-ranked great sword, it would be impossible for it to withstand the pressure. Break! Yi Chen let out a great roar. He pushed his pure Junjin chi to its limit and poured all of it into the hidden cloud sword. In the next moment, the white sword chi was shattered. Faint cracks appeared on the surface of the hidden cloud sword and spread out. Hold on for a while, let me show you the last of your power. The hidden cloud sword was damaged. Yi Chen didn't feel good about it. Although this sword hadn't been with him for a long time, it had accompanied him to fight until now. It had killed one enemy after another, and it had even killed Hong Qianjun, who was ranked in the hidden dragon ranking. It could be said that it had made great achievements. Yi Chen firmly stabilized the hidden cloud sword with his Jin Qi, and for the first time, he launched the shocking cloud sword art. Swirling clouds. The sharp sword chi rose straight up, twisting the airflow and forming a huge tornado. This time, the tornado was even more solid, and was emitting a faint light. It looked like a pillar in the sky, rolling towards the white silhouette. From time to time, the sword chi would shoot out. Clang, clang, clang. The white silhouette calmly waved its sword to block the sword chi. Although it didn't seem to move fast, every sword strike landed on the weakest part of the sword chi. One after another, the sword chi was shattered, and the tornado was right in front of the silhouette. Abruptly, the white silhouette's body flashed, and unexpectedly, it raised its sword to block the tornado. Puff! The white silhouette passed through the tornado, and the tornado behind it suddenly disappeared, turning into a violent airflow that spread out in all directions. Shocking clouds. Yi Chen had never used the last movement of the shocking cloud sword art. It was not because he couldn't, but because it consumed too much Shen Qi. When he was at the late condensing reality realm, he couldn't use it at all. Now that he had reached the early clasping Yuan realm, he could finally use this movement. Yi Chen's body floated in the air like a cloud, and then he waved his sword down. It was so light that it seemed like he was just brushing away the clouds. Crack! A thunderous sound rang out, and the sword chi shot out. There was no way to dodge this sword attack. The white silhouette didn't have any human emotions, it raised its sword to block the attack mechanically. With a cracking sound, the white sword in its hand was broken, and a deep sword mark appeared on its chest. However, it wasn't completely killed, and was only seriously injured. In fact, the white silhouette was at a disadvantage. The white sword in its hand was made of energy, and it wasn't very hard. In other words, Yi Chen didn't win with this movement, but with his sword. As his feet landed on the ground, Yi Chen let out a bitter laugh. He then lowered his head and looked at the hidden cloud sword. The hidden cloud sword, which had lost the stability of its Shen Qi, had shattered inch by inch. It turned into thousands of pieces and fell to the ground, making a clear and melodious sound. I lost. Without the hidden cloud sword, Yi Chen was no match for the white silhouette, although the white silhouette had also lost its sword. Hey! Yi Chen was preparing to fight with the white silhouette with his bare hands. It wouldn't matter even if he was eliminated. However, the sudden turn of events made him confused. The white silhouette automatically jumped into the crystal ball. It didn't turn into a white light and enter the crystal ball. Rumble. The sealed room started shaking, and 4 doors appeared in the room. 3 of them were connected to a dark and deep tunnel, and the last one was a light door. Recalling what the head elder had told him, Yi Chen's knitted eyebrows loosened. The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace was extremely mysterious, every test was different, but as long as one could pass all the tests, 3 treasures would be unlocked. These 3 treasures could be treasures, secret manuals, or other extremely precious things. However, if one wanted to get those treasures, he or she would have to fight for them with his or her own efforts. If he or she couldn't get those treasures, that would be his or her own problem. It seems that no one has passed all the tests in the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace for over 100 years. I didn't expect that I would break the record this time. Is there anyone else? It was not easy to pass all the tests. Later on, the white silhouette would adjust its power according to the individual's condition. For example, in the 6th round, Lynch's opponent was a peak-level mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist, while Yi Chen's opponent was a late-level clasping Yuan realm martial artist. The two of them were only half a stage apart, but their power was completely different. Normally, even two peak-level mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artists might not be able to defeat a late-level clasping Yuan realm martial artist. However, Yi Chen had a premonition that he was not the only one who had passed all the tests. All those hidden dragon-ranked martial artists were not ordinary people, especially the three ranked in the top 60. They were one bloodless blade Mo Wuxue, the top-ranked disciple of the formless martial school, Shui Hen, and killer eagle Yuan Ying. The young master devil Lung Wuqing was not someone to be underestimated. If he could reach the clasping Yuan realm, his power would be absolutely terrifying. After all, he was practicing the Earth Devil body refining art, which made it extremely hard for him to improve his power, but once he did, his power would increase by leaps and bounds. Yi Chen waved his hand and the low-ranked Great Spear, which was placed in the corner of the room, flew into his hand. He felt a bit helpless. The low-ranked Great Spear was much more precious than the hidden Cloud Sword. However, he was a sword user, and only with a great sword in his hand could he activate his sword intent to the extreme. Without a great sword, his power would be greatly reduced, and even a low-ranked great weapon wouldn't be able to make up for it. I have to get a low-ranked great sword in the future. After making up his mind, Yi Chen looked at the 4 doors. If he guessed correctly, the other 3 doors were the entrances to the treasures, while the light door was the portal to the exit of the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. Without any hesitation, Yi Chen walked towards the door on the left. As for the light door, he didn't even think about it. Since he had already come in, how could he leave empty-handed? Not long after Yi Chen walked into the passage, the other places started to change one after another. Just like the rumors said, if I pass all the tests, I will have the chance to get 3 treasures. These 3 treasures are mine now. Putting the blood-red thin blade back into the sheath, Mo Wuxue let out an evil smile and stepped into the left passage. In another room, Yuan Ying licked his lips. The 6th round was indeed out of his expectation, and he almost failed. Luckily, at the crucial moment, he still had a secret ace up his sleeve, which was why he was not eliminated. However, this ace could only be used once, so he did not dare to use it too many times. Thinking of the 3 treasures, Yuan Ying couldn't wait any longer. No matter who it was, whoever stood in his way would have to die. Not only Mo Wuxue and Yuan Ying had passed all the tests. Lung Wuqing was also one of them. He had already stepped into the clasping Yuan realm, which meant that his fighting power had increased by 2 times. Now, his body was as hard as a rank 5 martial zombie, which meant that he could take an attack from an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist without losing his life. The last one who passed all the tests was not the top-ranked disciple of the formless martial school, Shui Hen, but the top-ranked disciple of the Emerald Martial Palace, Zhuang Fei. He had been holding the position of the most powerful young martial artist in the Windy Nation, and had never thought about giving it up. This time was no exception. The passages were connected to one room after another, which were complicated and hard to count. Sometimes, there were even stairs leading to the upper or lower floors, which was quite confusing. Fortunately, there was a light door in each room, which could teleport people out at any time. Otherwise, Yi Chen would have to rely on the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace to teleport him out after he got the treasures. Entering one room after another, then walking out, and so on, buzz. After an unknown period of time, a wave of vibration came from below. This wave of vibration came so suddenly, as if it was alerting the people nearby that it was there. Is this the first treasure? Letting out a long breath, Yi Chen turned around and walked towards the room behind him. There was a door in that room, which led to the lower floor. Chapter 158. The vibrations grew clearer and clearer, and soon, Yi Chen arrived at a large room. The room looked like it was pieced together by dozens of ordinary rooms. It was 100 square meters and 130 meters tall. A thick pillar stood in the middle of the room. At the top of the pillar was a pure white ball of light. Inside the ball of light, a dark red secret manual floated quietly. A manual? Yi Chen's mind flickered. He just needed an Earthrealm martial art. He wondered what kind of manual this was. Taking a few steps forward, Yi Chen sensed something and hurriedly dodged to the right. Puff! A 2-meter-long white light beam silently rose from under the floor. It moved at an incredible speed and let out a sharp swishing sound. If Yi Chen didn't have such a sharp sense of perception, he might have been penetrated by the light beam and teleported out of the palace. Standing still, Yi Chen raised his head and looked at the sky. He murmured to himself, "There's a trap on the floor, I better not fly over from the air." The Heavenly Dream Battle Palace is a mysterious place. How could it have such a big floor? There must be a more dangerous trap in the air. Thinking of this, Yi Chen took out a low-rank soul stone from his pocket and threw it into the air. Puff! A small hole appeared on the left side of the wall, from which a beam of light shot out and shattered the low-rank soul stone into pieces, leaving not even a trace of ash behind. With my protective Zhen Qi, I won't be able to defend myself. Yi Chen estimated the power of that beam of light, then shook his head. Flying over from the air was not an option, it would only lead to death. Therefore, he could only walk over from the ground. Raising his foot, Yi Chen put it down again. A silhouette appeared on the other side of the door. It was the young master devil, Leng Wuqing. Leng Wuqing was slightly surprised to see Yi Chen. He didn't think that Yi Chen would be able to survive until now, which meant that Yi Chen had also stepped into the clasping Yuan realm. "What I need is a martial art manual. What kind do you need?" Leng Wuqing didn't move and asked. Yi Chen said, "Cultivation technique." Nodding his head, Leng Wuqing said, "That's easy. If it's a martial technique manual, it'll belong to me. If it's a cultivation technique manual, it'll belong to you. If it's neither, we'll have to rely on our own abilities. I'm sure you don't want to get into a meaningless fight." Leng Wuqing was still quite afraid of Yi Chen. An early clasping Yuan realm martial artist who had mastered the sword intent was definitely a tough nut to crack. He would rather face the other hidden dragon-ranked martial artists than face Yi Chen directly. Of course, it was not that he was afraid of Yi Chen, he just did not want to fight a tough and fruitless battle. "Sure, but I have to add one more condition. Now that the martial technique manual is in my hands, you cannot take it away for free. You have to exchange it for something of equal value, and vice versa." Yi Chen agreed. He was not a battle maniac, and it was best to avoid unnecessary battles. Not to mention that he had lost the hidden cloud sword, so he could not use his full strength. All right. Leng Wuqing did not believe that he would not be able to get the manual. What Yi Chen said actually stimulated his competitive spirit. Pausing for a second, Yi Chen glanced around and said, "Let's get closer to the stone pillar first. This place is not easy to deal with." Hearing this, Leng Wuqing stamped his foot heavily, and his qi spread out along the ground. Whoosh! 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 White light thorns emerged from the ground one after another, piercing through the air. After 2 blinks of an eye, the white light thorns disappeared. Although Leng Wuqing had memorized the location of the white light thorns, he was a prudent person, so he stamped his foot again and spread out even more qi. The next moment, half of the room was filled with white light thorns. The tips of the light thorns were as cold as the stars in the sky, making one's scalp numb. Leng Wuqing slightly frowned and said, "The light thorns appear in different places every time, and it is disadvantageous to both sides in a fight. Then I hope the manual is either a martial technique or a martial technique." Yi Chen smiled faintly. He did not agree with Leng Wuqing's words. In a fight, as long as he used his qi to lock his position, he would not have to worry about his opponent triggering the mechanism by vibrating the ground. The two carefully walked towards the stone pillar in the middle of the room. Swoosh! Light thorns shot out from time to time. While the two dodged, they did not dare to use up all of their qi. Neither of them could be sure if there was a mechanism at the place where they landed. If there was a mechanism, they could quickly dodge it, and if there was no mechanism, they could gather a whole breath of qi again. As for whether there was a mechanism at every place they landed, it was unlikely to happen. If it did, it would mean that they were extremely unlucky today. With their cultivation, although a breath of Zhen Qi could last longer than normal early clasping Yuan realm warriors, it could only last 7 times. After 7 times, if there was still a mechanism at the place where they landed, they would definitely be eliminated. Fortunately, this had not happened yet. The most dangerous situation was that there would only be 4 traps in a row. Soon, the two approached the stone pillar at the same time. Come down. Almost at the same time, the two reached out their hands towards the light ball on the stone pillar, trying to pull it down. The light ball did not move at all. At this moment, Yi Chen's hands, which were filled with zhenqi, stuck on the stone pillar and quickly flew up. Along the way, he changed his hands rhythmically, making sure that one of his hands was always touching the stone pillar. Leng Wuqing thought for a while. He believed that Yi Chen did not do this for no reason. There might be danger in the air, so he should not act rashly. Leng Wuqing followed suit. His hands, which were filled with zhenqi, also stuck on the stone pillar, chasing after Yi Chen. He was as agile as a monkey. The stone pillar was only 220 meters tall. Within 2 blinks of an eye, Yi Chen had already reached the top. With his left hand and feet stuck on the stone pillar, Yi Chen's right hand formed a claw, trying to tear the light ball apart. Pop! The surface of the light ball had a strong elasticity, which almost sent Yi Chen flying. Good. The iron spear landed in his hand. Yi Chen gave a low growl and pierced the light ball with the spear. Clang! The tip of the spear was blocked by a hand, which made a metal clashing sound. Let's see what we can do. Yi Chen laughed. Red flames rose on the iron spear, which shook off Leng Wuqing's hand. Then, he took the opportunity to whip the light ball. The light ball stayed where it was, motionless. Its surface was dented, making a creaking sound. Earth Demon's body-breaking cut. Leng Wuqing did not fight with Yi Chen. He turned his hand into a knife and chopped at the other side of the light ball. Then, as if they had discussed it, the two of them attacked the light ball again and again. The light ball was dented and distorted. Just at the moment when the light ball collapsed, Yi Chen's body shook. Countless qi swords floated around his body, flying toward the light ball and Leng Wuqing, covering the whole area. Leng Wuqing's eyes flashed with cold light. He raised his hands to protect his face. After a series of metal explosions, Leng Wuqing was unharmed. Those qi swords could not even break his skin. When he put down his hands, he found that the light ball had been broken, and the dark red secret book fell into Yi Chen's hands. Humph! Although Leng Wuqing was angry, he did not want to fight. It was too inconvenient to fight from above. Yi Chen's body went down and landed on the ground. Glancing at Leng Wuqing, Yi Chen opened the dark red secret book and looked at it. After a while, Leng Wuqing, who was standing 20 steps away, asked, "What kind of secret book is it?" Yi Chen smiled and said, "You are lucky. It is a palm secret book, and it is very powerful. It has reached the middle rank of Earth Realm. To be honest, even I am a bit tempted." Leng Wuqing's face darkened. "But we had a deal. Are you going back on your word?" Yi Chen shook his head. "What do you want to trade for it?" Without hesitation, Leng Wuqing untied the heavy bag on his back and threw it to Yi Chen. He said, "There are 7 low-rank Earth Realm secret books, 6 to 5 top-rank Human Realm secret books, a low-rank dagger, a low-rank light armor, a low-rank short knife, 3 red light fireballs, and 5 herbs. Each of them is worth no less than 50,000 gold. They are all yours." Taking the bag, Yi Chen was surprised. "Don't you want to look at the secret books? They might not be suitable for you." Leng Wuqing said, "As long as they are martial arts, they are suitable for me. There is no need to look at them." He opened the bag. Just like Leng Wuqing said, there were quite a lot of things inside. If he was not mistaken, only a small part of these things were obtained by Leng Wuqing himself. Most of them should be from disciples from other martial institutions. However, he did not care about the origin of these things. The value of the things inside the bag was astonishing. The 7 low-rank Earth Realm secret books were worth more than 21,000 low-rank soul stones. The 6 to 5 top-rank Human Realm secret books were worth 3,250 low-rank soul stones. A low-rank dagger was worth no less than 5,000 low-rank soul stones. A low-rank light armor was even more valuable, probably worth more than 20,000 low-rank soul stones. The low-rank short knife was worth no less than 8,000 low-rank soul stones. The 3 red light fireballs were even more powerful weapons. They were powerful enough to kill a normal early clasping Yuan realm martial artist. If a mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist was caught off guard, he would also be blown to death. Each of them was worth no less than 2 million gold, which was 5,000 low-rank soul stones. 3 red light fireballs were worth 15,000 low-rank soul stones. As for the 3 herbs, they were the least valuable, but they were still worth 200,000 gold, which was equivalent to 500 low-rank soul stones. The total value was about 73,000 low-rank soul stones. Yi Chen did not intend to give away the secret books. Although there are a lot of things, they are not as valuable as the mid-rank Earth Realm secret books. If I give them to the sect, I can get 3,000 mid-rank soul stones, which is 150,000 low-rank soul stones. You should know the importance of the low-rank Earth Realm secret books. It is enough to become the most important martial art of a rank 9 martial institution. Lung Wuqing was stunned for a moment. What Yi Chen said was right. Mid-rank Earth Realm secret books were not cabbages. An ordinary rank 9 sect would be lucky to have one, and an rank 8 sect would at most have 3. For example, although their barbarian devil sect was a rank 7 sect, they only had 5 or 6 mid-rank Earth Realm secret books. Moreover, he had already seen most of them. 2 of them were cultivation techniques, such as his Earth Devil body refining technique. One of them was a supplementary cultivation technique, while the other 2 were movement techniques and leg techniques. None of them were suitable for him, otherwise, he would not have valued this secret book so much. Yi Chen continued, "If I give you this secret book, not only will you not suffer a loss, but you will also earn a lot. The higher-ups of the Barbarian Devil sect will definitely reward you with a large amount of low-rank soul stones or mid-rank soul stones. On the other hand, I will suffer a huge loss. Not only will I lose a secret book, I will also lose 77,000 low-rank soul stones. Don't you think so? Then what do you suggest?" Lung Wuqing asked. "That's easy. I will read the contents of this secret book to you. You can memorize it and cultivate it when you go back. As for the real book, leave it with me." After hesitating for a moment, Lung Wuqing agreed. Chapter 159. As a genius, his memory was extremely amazing. There were more than 8,000 words in this palm technique manual, and Lung Wuqing had memorized them all by heart. As for the Zhenqi circulation diagram, it was easy to draw it on a piece of cloth, which was not much different from the original manual. "How about we join hands? I think there are more than 2 of us in the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace." Putting away the manual, Yi Chen suddenly suggested. Lung Wuqing responded, "This manual is more than enough, I don't want to fight for anything else." Yi Chen smiled faintly. This Lung Wuqing was interesting. Although he was from an evil martial school, he was not as cruel and greedy as those evil martial artists. However, not all evil martial artists had the same personality. Some of them looked gentle on the outside, but were vicious on the inside. Some of them looked vicious on the outside, but had their own principles. This Lung Wuqing should be one of those people who looked cold on the outside, but had principles on the inside. As for whether he was as heartless as his name suggested, no one knew. As Yi Chen stepped into the light door, Lung Wuqing said again, "Not to mention, I don't have anything else to exchange for treasures." Ripples appeared on the light door, and Lung Wuqing disappeared in it. "Maybe you will be the one who got the treasures this time?" Yi Chen smiled bitterly and murmured to himself. After looking around and making sure that there was nothing else, Yi Chen carefully walked out of the room and came to the corridor outside. The corridor was connected to many rooms. It was even more labyrinthine than a maze, as if there was no end to it. "Let's just walk around." Yi Chen couldn't think of anything, so he had to try his luck. Corridor after corridor, room after room, upper floor, lower floor, lower floor. Within 2 hours, he had walked more than 100 kilometers. Towards the end, he was completely dizzy, unable to see where he was going. In another spacious room, there was a pool in the middle of the room. The pool was less than 10 zhong in radius, and there was a stone platform in the middle of the pool. On the stone platform, there was a pure white light ball. Inside the light ball, there was a saber with ancient patterns. The saber was still in its scabbard, but people could already feel that it was extraordinary. Is this saber prepared for me? On the pool, Mo Wuxue fell in love with this saber at first sight, his breath quickened. Tem. He turned his head and saw a man. It was the killer eagle Yuanheng Ying. Yuanheng Ying, what? Do you want to compete with me for the great blade? Mo Wuxue's face was filled with an evil and murderous aura, as if he was ready to kill Yuanheng Ying at any moment. Yuanheng Ying carefully went through the trap, he stepped on the pool and said, Mo Wuxue, this treasure doesn't belong to anyone, how can you say it's yours? Mo Wuxue sneered, it seems like you not only want the blade, but also want to challenge my position. Very good, today you will see blood. Hee, we don't know who's going to bleed yet. Do you really think that you can defeat me? I, Yuanheng Ying, would like to see if you have improved or not. The two of them were not too far apart in terms of ranking, and their strengths were almost the same. Yuanheng Ying had never been afraid of his opponent, not to mention the temptation of treasures. Die. Who was Mo Wuxue? He was as cruel and bloodthirsty as Yuanheng Ying, it was just that he didn't like killing as much as Yuanheng Ying. Therefore, once Yuanheng Ying said those words, Mo Wuxue had already decided to kill him. He unsheathed his great blade and released a blood-red beam of blade qi towards Yuanheng Ying. Heavenly Eagle Art, die. Yuanheng Ying was prepared for this. He shook his body and a Zhen Qi eagle rose from his body, blocking the blood-red beam of blade qi with one of its wings. Bang bang bang. Both of them clashed against each other, causing streams of water to shoot up from the pool. When the water stream was broken, Mo Wuxue's face looked grim, he threw out 8 strikes in a row. Blood rain. The blade qi tore the air apart and let out a horrifying roar. Looking over, the pool was filled with a blood-red light, and the blood-red beams of light intertwined with each other like a giant net. The beams of light were trying to cut Yuanheng Ying into dozens of pieces. Yuanheng Ying sneered and said, Mo Wuxue, if this is all you've got, you better give up the treasure. Otherwise, you won't just be bleeding today, I will make your head explode. After he finished talking, he let out a great shout towards the sky. Countless Zhen Qi eagles spread out, their sharp claws crazily tore the blood-red beams of light, wave after wave. It's been about 3 months since I've tried to kill someone. I will let you know what it feels like to be killed by me, Mo Wuxue. Both of them were extremely powerful, one was a bloodthirsty killer, the other was cold-blooded. The number of warriors who had died in their hands was more than 10,000. They had killed countless people, and the murderous aura released from their bodies could even scare ordinary warriors to death. At this moment, the two of them were fighting against each other. The pool was filled with horrible murderous aura, which created illusions of mountains of corpses and seas of blood. Blood beheading. While the battle was getting more and more intense, Mo Wuxue suddenly made his move. He held the blade in his right hand and swung it down with all of his power. The pool suddenly caved in, and an invisible wave of blood-red qi enveloped Yuanheng Ying. It then quickly transformed into an executioner's blade and swung down heavily. Crack! The Zhen Qi eagles outside of Yuanheng Ying's body were shattered, and Yuanheng Ying's life was hanging by a thread. Mo Wuxue, I will let you have a taste of my most powerful attack, Demon Eagle World. Yuanheng Ying's eyes were wide open. A dark cyan-colored Zhen Qi shot up into the sky and transformed into a pair of gigantic eagle claws. Once this pair of Zhen Qi eagle claws appeared, it gave people a sense of ancient evil, as if they were the claws of a devil. Boom! The executioner's blade was crushed into pieces, and the gigantic eagle claws were also destroyed. The horrifying shockwaves stacked on top of each other and spread out in all directions, shattering the pure white light ball. Yuanheng Ying, I will spare your life this time, but the next time I see you, I will make sure that you will die a horrible death. The white light ball was shattered, and the blade fell into Mo Wuxue's hand. He quickly stepped on the ground and avoided the traps, but he still had the time to talk. However, his voice was obviously filled with killing intent. Yuanheng Ying was so angry that he almost vomited blood. He was no weaker than Mo Wuxue, and now that his treasure had been stolen, he felt so angry that he had nowhere to vent his anger. Mo Wuxue, After I kill that little bastard, I will definitely kill you. Seeing that Mo Wuxue had already walked to the light door, Yuan Hongying said, I will wait for you. Mo Wuxue didn't even need to guess. He knew that Yuan Hongying and him were not the only two people in the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. There must be other people. If he wasn't mistaken, one of the three treasures might have already fallen into someone else's hands. Adding the blade in his hand, that would be two treasures. Although the last one was also tempting to him, Yuan Hongying had failed this time, which made him hate Yuan Hongying's guts. Yuan Hongying might use a move that would harm both of them, so Yuan Hongying had to be careful. Therefore, he directly left the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace through the light door. He had already gotten one treasure anyway. He might not be able to get the second one even if he stayed. Once Mo Wuxue left, Yuan Hongying didn't have the time to be angry anymore. He rushed to the other places. He had to get one of the three treasures. Another half an hour passed. Yi Chen was a bit tired, not physically, but mentally. These endless rooms and tunnels were exactly the same, which could easily give people the wrong impression and make them feel annoyed and unable to control their emotions. It was all thanks to his sword intent that he was able to stay calm all the time. The sword intent was invulnerable. Apart from being able to kill external devils, it could also kill internal devils and distracting thoughts. This was also the reason why all sword artists respected the sword intent so much. Not knowing how much time had passed, Yi Chen's walking posture froze. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Far away from him, a faint vibration came over. Although it was very slight, Yi Chen, who had a sharp sense of perception, still managed to sense it. The second treasure. Quickening his steps, Yi Chen's clothes fluttered in the air. He turned left and right, and soon, he disappeared. After a while, Yi Chen arrived in front of a room that was exactly the same as the previous one. Without any hesitation, he raised his foot and stepped into the room. The room was empty, but a huge platform was floating in the air. This platform didn't have any support. It was supported by a mysterious power, which made it as stable as a mountain. There was a meter-tall square platform on the platform, on top of which was a pure white light sphere. Inside the white light sphere, a dark golden book was floating in the middle. Another secret manual. Yi Chen was excited. While he was looking for treasures, he had been thinking about many things because he was bored. Although the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace seemed to have a lot of treasures, not every one of them was suitable for them. If this was the case, wouldn't the rewards be useless? Therefore, the three treasures that were opened in the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace might be suitable for each of them, or all of them. For example, the Palm Skill Book was suitable for Lung Wuching, but Yi Chen didn't know what kind of book the third one was. It might be suitable for Lung Wuching, or maybe for himself. Maybe it really is a martial skill book. The traps in this room were pure white earth fire. The earth fire spurted out, and its attacking range was even greater than the white light thorns, covering a radius of a few meters. Fortunately, the number of traps in this room was much less than the previous one, which meant that people would always have space to dodge. Soon, Yi Chen arrived under the floating platform. He threw a low-rank spirit stone into the air. No traps were activated. It seemed that the area under the platform was a safe zone. After figuring this out, Yi Chen wasn't afraid anymore. He leapt into the air, put his palms, which were filled with zhenqi, on the bottom of the platform, and quickly moved to the edge of the platform, flipped his body, and was about to jump onto the platform. Puff! At this moment, a huge green hand made of zhenqi pressed down towards Yi Chen's body. The power of this hand was extremely condensed. Before it even reached Yi Chen's body, Yi Chen felt that all of his muscles and bones had tightened, as if they couldn't bear the pressure and were about to collapse. Yi Chen didn't panic. He put one of his hands on the platform and let his body hang in the air, while the other hand held the iron spear and swung it out. Boom! The huge hand made of zhenqi disappeared, and Yi Chen saw who it was. "Zhuang Fei, it's you," said Yi Chen with a cold look. His opponent had launched a fatal attack as soon as he attacked. If it weren't for Yi Chen's powerful soul power, which allowed him to sense things that were way more powerful than other martial artists at the same level as him, and he had a faint premonition that this palm attack could kill him. Even if he didn't die, he would fall out of the platform's coverage and be burned into ashes by the earth fire. Yi Chen, this martial skill book is mine, said Zhuangfei expressionlessly. Chapter 160. Give it to you. Just because you are the young Master Emerald? Since his opponent had already tried to kill him, Yi Chen would not show any mercy. A cold light flashed through Zhuangfei's eyes. A couple of months ago, he did not take this guy seriously at all. But now that he had gained some power, he had become more and more arrogant. However, he was a bit surprised that his powerful palm attack did not hit him. Give me the manual and I won't make things difficult for you, Zhuangfei said indifferently as he secretly accumulated his true qi and prepared himself for a thunderous strike. You want the manual? Maybe you don't have it. Right then, Yi Chen had already landed on the platform. He shook his iron spear, and the tip of the spear, which contained the sword intent, easily broke the light ball open, and the manual was sucked into his hand. Seeing this, Zhuangfei's killing intent was immediately revealed. Yi Chen did not care about him, he just stood on the platform. He opened the first page of the manual. The mysterious great art, a mid-rank Earth realm martial art, divided into 11 levels. The first 2 levels are the foundation, and the third level is the palace. After that, with each level up, your Zhen Qi will be condensed by 30%. Once you reach the 11th level, you will be able to condense a mouthful of Supreme Zhen Yuan, which can easily kill your enemies. Condense a mouthful of Supreme Zhen Yuan at the highest level. Reading this, Yi Chen was sure that the mysterious great art was the martial art that he needed, and it was even more powerful than he had expected. Now, not to mention the young Master Emerald, Zhuangfei, even if a late clasping Yuan realm martial artist came, he would still kill him. Zhen Yuan could only be cultivated by astral reaching realm martial artists. Before reaching the astral reaching realm, all the martial artists cultivated Zhen Qi. The two were only one word apart, but the power was completely different. If one could condense a mouthful of Zhen Yuan before reaching the astral reaching realm, it would definitely be the ace of all ace attacks. No clasping Yuan realm martial artist would be able to block it, and would definitely be killed. Putting away the mysterious great art manual, Yi Chen was satisfied, and was about to leave. Since you don't want to give me the manual, don't blame me for being cruel. Dodging the gushing earth fire one by one, Zhuangfei arrived at the bottom of the platform. In the blink of an eye, he flipped himself over and stood on the platform. Yi Chen stood in place without moving. The room was full of traps, and it was impossible for him to leave quickly. Instead of doing something useless, he might as well wait here. He wanted to see how the other party was going to make him stay. You used to be the most powerful young warrior of the Windy Nation, but you're definitely not anymore. Let me shatter your glory. Without a sword in his hand, Yi Chen did not mind at all. With his sword intent and iron spear that were almost at the entry level, he could use about 80% of his power at his peak, which was more than enough to defeat Zhuangfei. As for the reason why Zhuangfei was so confident, it was probably because he did not expect that Yi Chen could still improve his sword intent. You're courting death, heavenly emerald palm. Zhuangfei's body didn't move as he struck out with his palm. Soundlessly, the emerald green Zhen Qi hand shot out, aiming straight for Yi Chen's face. Break! Yi Chen sneered. Like a poisonous snake, the iron spear pierced into the weak spot of the Zhen Qi giant hand. Pop! The Zhen Qi giant hand disappeared into thin air. Another weak spot attack. Before, when his palm attack was broken, Zhuangfei had already sensed something. Now, he was sure that Yi Chen had mastered a martial art that allowed him to discover weak spots. Now, let's see how you're going to break this. Green shadow light. Zhuangfei yelled out while he threw out a series of attacks with both of his hands. Streams of emerald green Zhen Qi giant hands attacked towards Yi Chen like green shadows. Their trajectories were unpredictable, and they would automatically adjust themselves in the middle of the attack. No matter how powerful you are, I can still break it. Yi Chen used his spear as a sword. He shook the tip of the spear and launched the sky cloud sword art, which had the widest range of attack. The crimson spear light shot straight up, crazily twisting the airflow. Using the power of rotation, it formed a giant tornado. What was surprising was that this tornado contained fire origin energy, and its color was gradually dyed crimson, bringing with it a blazing heat as it swept out. Within a moment, those emerald green Zhenqi giant hands were all broken, and the tornado, which had shrunk a little bit, was still roaring towards Zhuangfei. While the two were fighting, the scorching ancient desert was not peaceful at all. After Leng Wuqing and Mo Wuxue were sent out of the desert, all the people from the top martial institutions started discussing with each other. As for the multiple mountain martial schools elders, their faces were all darkened. They were sure that it was almost impossible for Hong Qianjun to still be alive. Who killed Hong Qianjun? Is it a powerful hidden dragon-ranked martial artist? No matter who killed Hong Qianjun, once we find out who it is, we will kill him without mercy. The multiple mountain martial schools elder didn't lower his voice on purpose. Therefore, his words were clearly heard by all the other martial institutions. I can't believe that Hong Qianjun, ranked 69th in the Hidden Dragon ranked, has fallen. He was an early clasping Yuan realm martial artist. He was powerful enough to rival ordinary mid-clasping Yuan realm martial artist. To be honest, I really want to know who killed him. I think it was 80% likely that it was a powerful Hidden Dragon ranked martial artist. Only they are powerful enough to kill him. The three ranked in the top 60 are the most likely suspects. Who are you? Mo Wuxue, Xue Hen, and Yuan Hangying. Indeed, think about it, except for them, who else could kill Hong Qianjun? Even if the other Hidden Dragon ranked martial artists were slightly more powerful, they might not be able to do it. On the Sky Cloud Martial School's side, Lu Hanshan let out a long breath and said, Mo Wuxue and Leng Wuqing have come out, now only Brother Yi, Zhuangfei and Yuan Hangying are left in the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace. What took them so long? Is it that hard to break into the clasping Yuan realm? Zhu Mai and Xu Jing were also confused. The head elder suddenly thought of something and said, did they pass all the tests and start to fight for the three treasures? Zhu Mai was shocked and said, passed all the tests. I remember that no one has done it for the past 100 years. Indeed, no one has done it for the past 100 years, but during the past 100 years, the current generation of young martial artists are the most talented ones. Therefore, it's not impossible for them to pass all the tests. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spent so much time, they should have come out long ago. The fourth elder said. Lu Hanshan nodded and asked, passing all the tests is extremely difficult, the three treasures in the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace must be very precious, right? The head elder said, of course it's precious. The most powerful martial art of our Sky Cloud Martial School is the Great Rudra Divine Art, which was obtained by the third-generation leader of our Sky Cloud Martial School in the Heavenly Dream Ancient region over 100 years ago. No one except the leader or the leader's successor is qualified to learn it. The Great Rudra Divine Art was obtained from the Heavenly Dream Ancient region. This was the first time for Lu Hanshan to hear about this. As for the power of the Great Rudra Divine Art, he had already witnessed it. With the help of his Zhenqi, the Great Rudra Divine Art could evaporate a river without leaving a trace. A few Purple Sun Martial School elders kept glancing at the people from the Sky Cloud Martial School. Seeing their strange expressions, they couldn't help but guess. That swordsman from the Sky Cloud Martial School hasn't come out yet. Did he die in there? I'm afraid it's not that simple. I've never heard that the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace would kill people on their own initiative. Therefore, he was either sent out, or stayed in there. But he hasn't come out yet, the answer is obvious. What I'm most worried about is that he has passed all the tests. If he has passed all the tests, the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace will open three treasures. These three treasures are invaluable. If he gets them, he might harm our Purple Sun Martial School. After all, the treasures that come out of the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace are the best of the best. They are even more precious than the same level treasures in the outside world. If it's a treasure, that's fine, but if it's a mid-rank Earth Realm martial art, it would definitely be a top-grade martial art of the Purple Sun Martial School, which is even more powerful than ordinary mid-rank Earth Realm martial arts. The face of the head elder of the Purple Sun Martial School turned darker and darker. This kid hasn't grown up yet, but he has already made us feel so uneasy. If we don't kill him, The Purple Sun Martial School will face a great disaster sooner or later. It seems that we have to send all the leaders of the hunting hall out, to make sure that we can kill him with a single strike. Indeed, Zhu Liang is already too weak. I'm afraid that he can't rival that kid. Inside the Heavenly Dream Battle Palace, Zhuang Fei was shocked. He didn't think that Yi Chen could still be so powerful after losing his sword. How is this possible? Is his sword intent really that powerful? Seeing the blood-red tornado roaring towards him along with beams of spear light, Zhuang Fei's intent of killing grew even stronger. He sensed a great threat from Yi Chen, which made him feel quite uncomfortable. Break. Zhen Qi swooshed up into the air, a silhouette of a mountain shrouded Zhuang Fei up. He remained motionless like a mountain, while his palms let out streams of river-like streams of power. Those streams of power were incomparably powerful, and even the airflow above the platform was punctured and exploded. What kind of martial art is this? Mountain, water, could it be the great art of mountain and water? Yi Chen had heard from the head elder that the first leader of the Emerald Martial Palace had found a broken piece of the great art of mountain and water in the Mountain and Water Pavilion. The great art of mountain and water was a high-rank Earthrealm martial art, and even though it was just a broken piece, it was still a mid-rank Earthrealm martial art. Its power was not hard to imagine, it was definitely horrifying, even more powerful than the great Rudra magic art of the Sky Cloud Martial School. The crimson tornado was dispersed, and the torrential palm energy rushed forward with an indomitable will. Yi Chen laughed out loud. He didn't seem to care about it. Unstable cloud. Limitless cloud. Sword of impermanence. Sword of mist. Using the spear as a sword, Yi Chen didn't step back, instead, he moved forward. While shaking the spear, he launched the sword movements of the shocking cloud sword art. Stimulated by his sword intent, countless spear lights were shot out. Not only did they cut open the torrential stream of palm power, they also hit on the silhouette of the mountain outside of Zhuang Fei's body. The silhouette of the mountain was shattered. Under the attack of Yi Chen's sword intent, Zhuang Fei's great art of mountain and water didn't work. After all, he had only reached the 8th level of the great art of mountain and water, which meant that he couldn't release the most powerful power of the great art of mountain and water. Moreover, before this, Yi Chen had broken Hong Qianjuan's great art of mountain and water, although it was extremely difficult for him to break it. Puff. Spurting out a mouthful of blood, Zhuang Fei yelled out, "Yuan Hangying, I know you're outside. Do you want to see us both get hurt?" Haha. Along with a creepy laughter, Yuan Hangying showed up in the room and said, "Zhuang Fei, I don't think you're qualified to fight against this little bastard. I'm afraid you can't stop him either." Zhuang Fei boosted up his Zhen Qi and condensed the silhouette of the mountain again, temporarily stopping Yi Chen. Yi Chen's eyes were filled with killing intent. He had already found out that Yuan Hangying was outside, but he pretended that he didn't know, because he wanted to kill Zhuang Fei first. Yuan Hangying paused slightly. To be honest, he wasn't sure that he could stop Yi Chen. After he reached the clasping Yuan realm, Yi Chen's power was even more terrifying than his own. He was definitely a freak. However, the more powerful he was, the more he wanted to kill Yi Chen. He couldn't let him keep improving. "What do you mean? You and I will fight together." Yuan Hangying tried to test Zhuang Fei. Zhuang Fei said coldly, "Those who want to achieve great things don't care about trifles." Chapter 161. What a good don't bother with trifles. But I really want to know, how should we divide the martial arts manuals? You and I will each take half, and we will keep the other half in our minds. What do you think? Alright, it's a deal. Yuan Hangying's body kept flashing, avoiding the ground fire. Zhen Qi eagles shot out of his body one after another, flying towards Yi Chen who was on the platform. Seeing this, Zhuang Fei knew that Yuan Hangying had agreed, so he did not dare to hesitate. He pushed the Zhen Qi in his meridians to its limit, making the silhouette of the mountain even more condensed and crystal-like. He then threw out streams of palm power that looked like rivers, which merged with the Zhen Qi eagles and attacked fiercely. "Today, you two have to leave something behind before you leave." Yi Chen did not back out. Instead, a sharp qi shot up into the sky, like a great sword that was about to be pulled out of its sheath and start a bloody massacre. Break. Driven by the powerful sword intent, the red flame on the iron spear suddenly extended out, it compressed and lengthened, eventually turning into a scorching red fire sword. The fire sword let out a long roar, and heavily hacked on the weak spot between the Zhenqi eagles and the palm power. Swoosh. A cloth-tearing sound was heard. The red fire sword was so powerful that it broke the combined attack of Yuan Hongying and Zhuang Fei with only one sword attack. Yuan Hongying, who had just stood on the platform, suddenly changed his expression. Yi Chen was even more powerful than he had expected. Using a spear as a sword, he was still able to block the combined attack of the two of them. If he had a low-rank great sword, he would not even need to fight anymore. Fortunately, a spear was a spear, it could never become a sword. Zhuang Fei, you don't have to hide anymore. If we don't use our final trump card, it's absolutely impossible to kill him. Our lives might even be in danger. While speaking, Yuan Hongying slightly spread his feet, and a dark cyan-colored Zhenqi burst out, forming a pair of gigantic eagle claws on both sides of his body. This pair of eagle claws was cyan with a hint of black, releasing an ancient evil power, which was extremely shocking. Flooding mountains. Hearing this, the shadow of the mountain outside of Zhuang Fei's body suddenly collapsed, turning into a torrential flood. The flood formed a spiral shape, surging around Zhuang Fei. Its momentum was astonishing, as if it would pounce out at any time and drown everything in its sight. It turned out that the mountain and water great art could not only be used for both offense and defense, but it could also be turned into a full offense or a full defense. The full offense was the flooding the mountain, which could turn the power of the mountain into a torrent of water and attack the enemy. However, although the full offense was powerful, its defense was quite weak. It was not much more powerful than a normal early clasping Yuan realm martial artist, and could easily be hit by unexpected attacks. As for the full defense, Zhuang Fei had not mastered it yet. He would need to reach the 9th level of the mountain and water great art to be able to do it. Otherwise, his defense would not have been broken by Yi Chen with only one spear attack. Rumble. The two of them did not hold back in the slightest and immediately blasted out their strongest attacks. A gigantic eagle claw tore through the air, bringing with it a demonic aura as it grabbed towards Yi Chen. Then, a torrential palm energy surged forth, even more powerful than before. Bang, 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 bang. The iron spear held in Yi Chen's hand was 2 and 3 meters long. Added with the red flame sword, it was 4 meters long. As Yi Chen waved his arm, the red flame sword turned into countless afterimages, hacking on the gigantic eagle claw and the powerful palm energy, bringing up thousands of fire sparks. After a while, Yi Chen abruptly shook off the eagle claw with one spear attack. The red flame sword on the iron spear fell off and darted towards Zhuang Fei like a shooting star. Damn it! Zhuang Fei was enraged. This was the moment when his defense was at its weakest. Once he was hit, he would die for sure. Without any time to think, he hurriedly threw out 2 streams of powerful palm energy towards the flame sword. Pop! Pop! The palm energy was pierced through one after another, and the flame sword was shattered as well. It turned into a fierce wave of fire that swallowed Zhuang Fei, burning him. Yuan Hongying seized the opportunity when Yi Chen was fighting against Zhuang Fei and was about to launch a fierce attack. Suddenly, an explosive power came from under his feet, which nearly sent him flying. Fortunately, he had already activated all of his Zhenqi, which allowed him to stomp on the ground and extinguish the explosive power. That was close. Yuan Hongying still had a lingering fear. Indeed, the explosive power couldn't hurt him, but it could push him off the platform. However, the platform was full of traps. If he was slightly careless, he would be burned by the ground fire, or killed, or teleported out of the heavenly dream battle palace. He didn't want to see either of these two things. Yi Chen also felt that it was a pity. The earth explosion that he had obtained from the Bloody Butcher was at a low level. It was a great help to him in the early stages, but now, it could only barely help him, and couldn't do anything to Yuan Hongying, who was protected by an Earthrealm martial art. Puff! The flame was torn apart, and Zhuang Fei walked out from it. Except for looking a bit embarrassed, he didn't seem to be injured at all. However, by now, The two of them were more and more shocked. Yi Chen was unbelievably powerful. He was fighting against two people at the same time, but he still had the upper hand. If it weren't for the fact that both of them had their own special skills, it would be hard for them to hold on. However, it was almost impossible for them to defeat Yi Chen with this kind of power. At this moment, Yi Chen's feet didn't leave the ground, and he launched the last movement of the shocking cloud sword art. Supreme Shocking Cloud. Holding the iron spear in his right hand, Yi Chen swung it straight down, silently and lightly, without even a trace of smoke or flame, as if he was brushing away the clouds with his bare hands. Pa! Thunder boomed. This spear seemed to be light, yet it released an extremely terrifying power. It was like a thunderbolt striking down on a sunny day, which made people feel like they were fighting against each other. Zhuang Fei and Yuan Hangying didn't even have the chance to dodge before they were hit by the red spear light. Their protective zhenqi was shattered instantly, and they both puked out a mouthful of blood and were sent flying towards the platform. The pure white earth flame burst out, and the two of them disappeared instantly. On the platform, Yi Chen shook his head. It turned out that this earth flame couldn't kill people, it could only send people out. However, it was not the right time to kill the two of them. The current Sky Cloud Martial School couldn't afford to take this responsibility. After all, the Sky Eagle Castle Martial School and the Emerald Martial Palace were both rank 7 martial institutions, and were extremely powerful. Now that their top disciple had been killed, the leaders of the martial school would definitely not let it go. The light door in the cyan light opened again, and two human silhouettes flew out. Yuan Hangying, Zhuang Fei. The elders of the Sky Eagle Castle Martial School and the Emerald Martial Palace Martial School both yelled out. However, when they saw the wounds on the two of them, and the large amount of blood coming out of their mouths and noses, they couldn't help but be stunned. Yuan Hangying, what happened? Who hurt you? The head elder of the Sky Eagle Castle Martial School asked with a gloomy face. Head elder, let's talk when we get back. Yuan Hangying didn't want to tell the truth in front of everyone, it would be too embarrassing. Two hidden dragon rank martial artists had been beaten by a young martial artist to the point of vomiting blood, and had almost died. No matter what, it was not a glorious thing, and it would greatly affect his reputation. On the other side, Zhuang Fei didn't want to talk about it either. On the Evil Blood Martial School's side, Mo Wuxue was shocked. Yuan Hangying's power was not weaker than his, and Zhuang Fei was also a hidden dragon rank martial artist. How could they be wounded so badly? Could it be that they had fought against each other, and both of them were badly wounded? This was the most reasonable explanation. I wonder who has the rest of the treasures. Mo Wuxue was a bit regretful. If he had known that there were only these two people, he might have tried to get the other two treasures, even if it was just one. The light door opened again, and another human silhouette flew out. Who else is in there? All the young hidden dragon rank martial artists should have come out by now. Could it be that he is the real culprit who injured Yuan Hangying and Zhuang Fei? All the elders from the top martial institutions started discussing, while the multiple mountain martial schools' elders popped their eyes out. They all hoped that it was Hong Qianjun, who had gone missing. People from the Sky Cloud Martial School were clearly aware that the last person was definitely Yi Chen. As for Hong Qianjun, he had been killed by Yi Chen long ago, and there was no such person anymore. Shoo! The silhouette stood on the sand, wearing a moon-white long robe. The unique cloud pattern of the Sky Cloud Martial School was embroidered on the sleeves. A disciple of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Except for a small number of people, the others were all confused. They had all kinds of guesses, but none of them had ever thought that it would be a nameless disciple of the Sky Cloud Martial School. Before this, none of them had ever heard of this person. No. He was the last one to come out, which meant that he had passed all the tests, participated in the competition for the 3 treasures, and came out unscathed. In that case, was Yuan Hangying and Zhuang Fei injured by this person? It shouldn't be possible. Some elders shook their heads. They didn't believe that the 2 young hidden dragon-ranked martial artists could be injured by this person, not even if they were beaten to death. A cold beam of light flashed across the multiple mountain martial school's head elder's eyes. No one knew what he was thinking. Brother Yi, You're out. Lu Hanshan let out a sigh of relief. The competition for the 3 treasures was different than before. He didn't need to fight against the rest of the people. He was truly afraid that Yi Chen might have died in there. Yi Chen nodded, flashed across the air and arrived at the Sky Cloud Martial School's area. The head elder glanced at Yi Chen, smiled and said, "Are you all right?" Yi Chen glanced at Zhuang Fei and Yuan Hangying and said, "I'm all right, I got out unscathed." "Good, that's good." "Oh right, did you hurt Zhuang Fei and Yuan Hangying?" In fact, the head elder didn't really believe Yi Chen's words, but it was better for him to ask. Hesitating for a while, Yi Chen nodded again. "They were really hurt by you?" The other Sky Cloud Martial School's inner elders gasped in shock. Luo Hanshan laughed and said, "Brother Yi, you've stepped into the clasping yuan realm, your power has improved tremendously. In a one-on-one fight, it wouldn't be surprising for you to injure Zhuang Fei and Yuan Hangying, but it would be strange if you couldn't beat them." He thought that Yi Chen had beaten Zhuang Fei and Yuan Hangying respectively. He didn't really believe it. He thought that the elders were making a fuss about nothing. The head elder was slightly surprised, but soon calmed himself down. He realized that Yi Chen had already attained the sword intent, and had also stepped into the clasping yuan realm. His power had definitely improved by leaps and bounds. It wouldn't be a big deal for him to beat the last hidden dragon ranked martial artists. Without any accidents, Yi Chen would definitely have a place in the next hidden dragon rank competition in a year and a half, and no one would be able to stop him. Kid, have you seen the top-ranked disciple of our multiple mountain martial school, Hong Qianjun?" At this moment, a voice came from the multiple mountain martial school's head elder. Seeing that Yi Chen was the last one to come out, he immediately became suspicious. He felt that Yi Chen was the biggest suspect. He immediately walked towards Yi Chen step by step, while releasing a strong sense of power. Luo Hanshan's facial expression changed. "You're tuning in to the Celestial War YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.